I'm Mike.
And I'm Sue.
And this is Life, Death and Sex.
With Mike and Sue. And welcome to the show which looks at life, death and sex.
Although not that much at death.
And quite a lot at sex. But first, this week's weather wisdom sent in by a Mrs. Jumbleson of Piddle High Farm, Upper Burnstead in Somerset. She says,
my granddad taught me this old riddle, told by farmers from generation to generation back to time immemorial. Here's a riddle me ree of sun and rain and snow, and sleet and fog, and sun and cloud, and when the wind doth blow. Pray tell me quick and tell me clever, who's generating electricity, whatever the weather?
Yes, well, thank you for that quaint piece of old rural England, Mrs. Fraud.
That is probably the stupidest slogan in modern advertising, isn't it? Just in case you were thinking that the average 1,000,000-megawatt gas turbine power station has to be switched off if it rains.
Yes.
I mean, no one else has jumped to get on that bandwagon, have they? I noticed Telecom aren't saying BT, letting you use the phone even if it's windy.
Yes. Well, OK, Mike, don't worry about it. Now, tonight, the joys and sorrows of party entertaining and therapy. How useful is it?
McVitie's, making lots of biscuits, even if it is nice and sunny and we'd rather be outside.
Yes. But first, do you have trouble reading a bus timetable? Can't fill in the simplest form? In short, are you one of the estimated 2 million adults in Britain who is functionally illiterate or innumerate?
If so, then you should have tried harder at school.
Why?
Well, come on, let's face it. I mean, unless you're actually dyslexic or genuinely backward or something, then there's no excuse. I mean, it's not hard to learn to read, really, is it? I mean, my view is that anyone of normal mental ability who can't read is just plain old-fashioned lazy.
But you don't have to agree. Do you think more funds should go to helping illiteracy and innumeracy? If so, call us on 01714995655.
If you can find someone to dial for you.
Oh. Also, we'll be giving the answer to last week's competition. You remember the question was, which of these people has never played for England? Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer, or Dame Kiri Takanawa? The answer, of course, was C, and over 348,000 of you got it right. Mainly because, like all these multiple-choice phone-in competitions, the question was fatuously simple, and the only point of it is for us to make a packet out of your phone calls. Calls are, of course, only charged at 10p a minute.
Meaning we only grossed about 34 grand. Even after Telecom got their extortionate wedge, that's still a nice little earner. Today we'll also be covering the subject of...
Actually, the incredible thing was that one of you got it wrong.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed. One person phoned in and got it wrong. Incredible.
So, our thanks to Mr. J. Hill of West London.
Still to come tonight, a special preview of the latest and newest docu-soap hit and the world of therapy. But first tonight, parties. Yes, parties. Love them or hate them, it's difficult to avoid them.
Parties are part of life, literally, from the christening to the wake. For most of us, our first experience of them is as a child attending birthday parties. Psychologists say that our experiences here can set our socializing pattern for the rest of our life.
Right, okay, I've got the hummus, the tahini, breadsticks, celery, good, Chardonnay in the fridge, beer in the bin. Got some Fito for anyone who wants red.
Sophie, problem.
Problem?
It's Tom.
Tom?
Yes, you know, property consultant, lives in West Hampstead, brought the chili and stuff.
Oh, yes. What's up?
He's not happy about the pass the parcel.
Oh, no.
No, he says he won and it's not fair. He thinks Andrew tore off 2 layers at once.
But he already won the musical chairs.
Well, he's in a terrible state. And another thing, you know Alan from Tooting, works at the Civil Aviation Authority. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Denise, educational psychologist with that lovely flat in Barnes.
Yes.
Well, you'll never guess what, but I saw them kissing.
On there.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, anyway, another glass of red and a Miller Lite, please, for Tom.
Coming up.
In former times, of course, parties were very formal occasions, and guests were introduced by a caller as they arrived for a social gathering. And there are some traditionalists who believe that this tradition should be revived, especially for teenagers.
Mr. Andrew Patton and Miss Lavinia Leach. Mr. Jonathan Tedder and some girl from the 4th year he's fancied for ages. Miss Angeline Lincoln and Mr. Sampson, the cradle-snatching geography teacher. A strange man in an expensive jacket selling drugs. Mr. and Mrs. Potter, parents of the host, home unexpectedly early.
When you're giving a party, of course, one of the nightmares is the food. We're very lucky today to have with us Lucy Brewer, party caterer extraordinaire, who's going to give us some handy tips on delicious party nibbles to make your party just that little bit special. Hello, Lucy.
Hello, Sue.
Now, you've brought a whole range of tasty-looking treats here, so tell us what a few of them are.
Well, here we have homemade brioche with serrano ham and asparagus. These are small whole scallops, lightly poached in a spring vegetable juice and then served in their shells on a bed of spinach and nutmeg.
And you got any crisps?
This is a nice variation on the old sausages on stick.
That sounds more like it.
I've used Spanish chorizo.
Oh, God.
Wrapped in an anchovy and dipped in caraway seeds.
Oh, God.
And these little things are called devils on horseback.
Wait for it.
They're made of prunes, wrapped in bacon and then baked in
Have you got any twiglets?
I'm sorry?
Small flour and water sticks lightly dipped in marmite.
Oh, Mike.
I mean, come on. I mean, nobody really eats this sort of stuff, do they? It all stays on the plates while everyone wolfs down the crisps and the twiglets.
Well, that depends on what sort of friends you've got. Anyway, here we have mushroom vol au vent.
No. What do you mean, what sort of friends I've got?
These are delicious, Lucy.
Thank you very much, Sue. Yes, I've used fresh wild mushrooms, but dried
Excuse me, what are you saying about my friends?
Nothing. Now, these are prawns rolled in sea salt, and they've got
Look, please, it's just that I've never sort of...
What? It's just that he never goes to parties with this sort of food. That's what he's saying.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that, Mike. Nothing at all.
Oh, yes, there is. I mean, you're not admitting it out loud, but there is. You think me and my friends are lazy, good-for-nothing slobs, don't you? Just laddish junk food stuffing layabouts. Just because our idea of party eating isn't a raw snail wriggling in a pastry shell with a pistachio nut rammed up its arse bottom.
So what you're saying, Mike, is that you're too feeble to eat anything different?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, that's just so brave. To admit that. I mean, I wish I was that brave. I mean, here I am, stuffing away these horrible things and disgusting foreign muck, and all because I can't face the social pressure of admitting I don't like it.
You don't like it?
It's all absolutely disgusting. I mean, anchovies, well, they're just like great huge trails of snot you've just sneezed up and eaten again. So I'm with you, Mike. Every time I'm confronted with this sort of poncy nosh, I really wish I could just have a nice big bag of frazzles.
Oh, twigs.
Lovely.
So, neither of you like my food?
Nobody likes your food.
How dare you?
You know, Mike, I'm never going to pretend again. Never again will I allow media pressure to force me to eat things I don't like the look of.
The pair of you are appalling.
I am going.
Good. And take your horrible snacks with you before we both puke.
Lucy Brewer there with her suggestions for deliciously different party catering.
Philistines.
You're with Mike and Sue, and this week we're doing a phone poll, whatever the weather. Let's see how we're getting on.
That's right. Now, the subject is illiteracy. If you think more resources should be targeted at the illiterate, phone us now.
If you haven't been cut off because you couldn't read your bill. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I know it's not PC or whatever, but as I'm sure listeners appreciate, I speak as I find.
Many people don't fully appreciate the problems faced by adults attempting to overcome this stigma. If you learn to read late as a fully grown adult, then do you read the same books as if you learnt to read as a child?
Oh, hi. What are you up to?
I'm just buying my holiday reading.
Yeah. Not Captain Corelli's Mandolin. Oh, God. Haven't you read that yet?
No, I've been reading the new Pinch-On. Last year zipped through A Suitable Boy.
Oh, right. Yeah, amazing, yeah.
No.
I've got Beryl Bainbridge and a bit of Patricia Cornwell for light relief. What about you, Tony?
I'm taking Mr. Happy.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Hargreaves best, I think.
Well, I think Mr.
Mr. Nosey is an extraordinary piece of work. I really do.
Is he the mauve one with the big nose?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
The thing is that in Mr. Nosey, the main character gets on everyone's nerves by being nosy and is very unpopular.
Yeah.
So they gang up, play a trick on him, and he ends up losing his nosiness and becoming popular again. But the thing is...
he still has the big nose.
At the end, he still has the big nose. And yet he's not nosy.
No, he's lost his defining characteristic, and yet...
He still possesses the physical manifestation of that characteristic. I mean, Hargreaves is sort of playing games with identity here, isn't he? I mean, is Mr. Nosy because of his nose?
Who knows?
Or is his nose merely an unfortunate physical feature which leads people to prejudge him?
Absolutely.
I mean, to me, in my mind, it invites a crypto-Dickensian critique of social mores.
Well, it must be so marvellous to be able to read all those for the first time. And good for you. Good for you. Learning to read at your age.
Oh, no, I've been reading since I was 5. I just prefer these to all the crap you're reading.
Now, apparently on the line is a Mr. J. Hill of West London. Hello, Mr. Hill.
Hello, young man. Now, I find this sort of thing completely unacceptable. I'm sorry to say, but you implied earlier on your very good programme that I don't know anything about football, and that, of course, is completely untrue. I do know a great deal about football, and in fact, I know everything there is to know. In fact, about football.
Well, look, I'm sorry. I do take that comment back.
Good. Well, I'm very pleased, young man. You see, it's only everything else in the world that I don't know anything about. I don't know anything at all about anything except football, you see. Go on, you test me. Go on.
I'm sure you're just being modest.
Well, no, and can I just say here that modesty isn't the issue. The issue really is me and my complete lack of knowledge about any aspect of human existence other than the beautiful game.
No, Jimmy, thank you. That's enough.
No, you see what I mean, though? You see, I only know, about football. So go on, just test me.
All right. Who won the Battle of Hastings?
Battle of Hastings? Battle of Hastings was Sir Stanley Rouse, 1954, in the 8th minute, I think.
Try another one out. What is the longest river in Africa?
River in Africa? What's the difficult? No, that's a trick question, isn't it? I think it's 4-3 to Arsenal. Guadalajara, Billy Bonds. Is that?
Jimmy, can I ask you a question?
Dear. Yes, of course, my love.
What colour are your wife's eyes?
Wife's eyes. Now, I know this.
Come on, Jimmy. What colour are your wife's eyes?
Claret with blue sleeves. Is that right? Red and white vertical stripes, are they? No, yellow away strip. Anyway, I know that. And
Well, thanks, caller. That's the last time we put our number in the Radio Times. Okay, it's time now for our regular debate.
Yes, in front of our invited audience, we're going to address an issue dear to their hearts. And I'm sure this has touched many of you listeners at home.
Today on Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue, we're going to talk about things.
And we're asking, have things gone too far?
Now, for this lady here, things did go too far. Judith Merriman, tell us about your experience.
Right, well, I was hanging up the washing Tuesday last, and I just thought, what was one thing and another, that these days things have gone too far.
So for things going too far, you point the finger of blame at one thing and another. Okay, this is obviously touching a nerve with lots of people in our audience. Gentleman in the second row.
Well, I think she's talking...
Can you just wait till the microphone comes to you, please?
Hello. I am an alcoholic, and I'm also a diabetic.
Yes, what's your point?
I haven't got a point.
Yes. Woman over here in the red shirt.
I think generally I would agree that things have gone too far, right? But not in Sidcup. Because, right, my sister, right, she lives in Sidcup, but she's never mentioned anything about things going too far.
Well, obviously a lot of people here would disagree. Sir, yes, do you come from Sidcup?
I do.
Yes, and have things gone too far?
Things have gone far enough.
Oh, but not too far.
No, not too far or not far enough. Things are just right. I'm also diabetic.
Superintendent Montre, your boys are on the sharp end. Things. Too far or not far enough? Where do you stand?
Well, we're working with community leaders, gathering into the community, talking with the community, and opening up dialogue with the community. Have I said community enough?
Once more?
Community.
Next week on our big debate, we'll be asking, should you?
We want to hear from anyone who thinks you should.
Or if you think you should and actually have.
Or if you have but think you shouldn't.
Or if you shouldn't have but think you should.
Or if you have and should but don't think.
Now our next topic tonight, therapy.
You're listening to Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue.
The first step to therapy is admitting you need it. Otherwise, you're likely to end up being counseled by someone unqualified. For example, your own mother. Otherwise known as pull yourself together therapy. It's all the rage in, where else? The United States.
Latitude, Arkansas is a one-horse town like any other, but 3 years ago something happened here which was to put Platitude right on the map. Jeff Dodgley was a part-time raccoon wrangler and full-time drinker. Going nowhere fast, Jeff lost his job and could no longer afford even essentials like food, fuel, and his regular twice-weekly therapy sessions at $200 an hour. Desperate, he went instead to his own mother, and in just 10 minutes was completely cured of a 10-year depression.
I just listened to him, to his problems, his complaints, and I made my diagnosis.
And what was that?
I just told him he was a big pain in the butt who did nothing but moan, moan, moan. And why couldn't he be like that nice boy Farlow McGee? Now, there was a boy who'd made something of himself. I mean, why couldn't I have a son like him with his shiny new tractor? No.
Impressed, Jeff went away and wrote the book, which was to become a major bestseller across America. The groundbreaking self-help volume, Stop Your Whining and Get Up Your Fat Ass.
I was overweight, I had low self-esteem, I wasn't interested in anything.
Griselda Shackhinge.
I just didn't want to get up in the morning, and then a friend recommended PYTT, and I said, what's that? And she said, Pull Yourself Together Therapy, and she gave me this book, and it has just changed my life.
Griselda was a French fry pan shaker in her local drive-in burger joint. Now, she has a new job.
Yeah, that's right. I am now Deputy to the Chief of Staff, U.S. and NATO Western Forces. with special responsibility for nuclear policy. I think I got that right.
And you put this down entirely to the book.
That's right, yeah. Well, that and some Polaroids. I have of Bill Clinton.
But not everybody was so impressed. Dr. Lavinia Blanket, herbal psychotherapeutical technician and author of the bestseller Herbal Paths to Healing Your Inner Child of Venus.
I was disgusted. I thought the book was dangerous, appalling, irresponsible.
Why?
Well, because he'd found an even easier way to make a pile of money than I had. I mean, I thought my book was bull, but this took the cookie. Why didn't I think of it?
Similar reactions came from Dr. Lancelot Moody, author of the bestseller Change Your Life and Find Love Through the Power of Seaweed. And Professor J.P. Bogus, author of the million-selling paperback Ancient Rainforest Gods and How They Can Help You Get More Sex. Hollywood flocked to Dodgley and his radical ideas. Even those normally most in favor of conventional therapy succumbed. Critics are already reporting that the new Woody Allen film is showing a radical new approach.
Hi. God, I feel nauseous. This is terrible. I don't know what to do.
Oh, God.
It's the situation with Elaine and Sam, isn't it?
What? No. There's a giant comet heading towards Earth, and it's swarming with aliens. Literally swarming. But they reckon without one thing. I tell you, me. Yeah, I'm going to get up there and kick their butts.
Oh, God, no. Aliens? That's kid stuff, Woody.
No,
this is sophisticated adult drama.
But you should see them, the big bug aliens with lasers and big teeth and special effects where the spaceships go right past in 3D. It's tremendous. I love it.
Sure, but what about us upscale Manhattan urbanites with our midlife problems?
Try this. Hasta la vista, babies. Yeah. I need your clothes, your boots, and hey, I'll take that German coffee grinder as well. Wait, I'm morphing. I'm morphing into a giant lizard with glasses.
But your movie's still set in New York, right?
Sure, but this time I eat New York.
Therapy, of course, has only been around for a relatively short time in human history. Who knows what traumas could have been avoided if qualified counsellors had been available in earlier times. We've obtained this extraordinary recording.
Okay, let me just first say that I think the fact that the two of you are here together is a very healthy sign. So, Henry, why don't you start?
Fie upon start, sirrah! 'Tis an end on't I desire. I want a divorce.
Okay. Now, Anne, if I could bring you in at this point...
He cannot, his faith, for we are married and the Pope shall never consent.
Yes, well, that is a very valid point, Henry.
The Pope? That roomish poltroon, I fart in his face. I have defied him once. I divorced Catherine of Aragon for she looked like an horse. And if the Pope shall say me nay, I shall set up mine own church.
Set up your own church. Okay. Now, Anne, Henry seems to be threatening huge constitutional change.
A schism with Rome, which will redefine English society forever. Yes, I know, it's all talk.
You defy me, woman!
Oh, well, set up your own church. You couldn't set up your own bookshelf.
You shall go to the tower, and the executioner shall have your head in a basket.
Now, I'm sensing a certain amount of anger here.
Anger! Let the fury of the blood tudor descend on and smite thee with the axe.
Oh, that's your answer to everything, isn't it? Porridge too hot, chop his head off. Comb your beard wrong, chop his head off. You need a sense of proportion, you do. Of course, it's easy for him. Just sits around all day playing that bloody lute.
I don't know. I should have stayed with Catherine.
She was hopeless in bed. You said so.
And thou wert a little rabbit of a girl.
Now, I'm sensing a healthy physical relationship here.
Thou little strumpet, little she-deer, strutting peahead.
Yes, no problems there, then. Now, perhaps we should move on, then, to the issue of emotional support.
Let us leave this dolt and hie us to the bedchamber. My codpiece, it bursteth.
Yes. Now, parental background.
You bore me, sirrah.
Oh, wait for it.
Take him to the tower.
Oh, right. Well, same time next week.
Off with his head!
One interesting new departure in therapy is group therapy. Now this, as its name suggests, is therapy for groups on the verge of splitting up. It was pioneered in the 60s by Dr. Ron Spengler, who now has a thriving business on both sides of the Atlantic, and Ron is here to explain to us the principles of his technique.
Thanks, Sue. It all started in the late 60s when I, along with many others, was shocked and upset when the Beatles split. I knew that if I could have been there, I could have done something about it.
Yeah, Paul and I have talked it over, and we've decided to stay together for the sake of the royalties.
That's right. Royalties need both parents if they're going to grow up healthy and strong.
And I'm sure that we can work it out. Although I must warn you, one more word about this frog chorus idea, and I'm off.
You see, what I realized very early on is that pop bands tend to share a common raft of problems. One partner may be involved in another relationship, perhaps with jazz music or film scores, or very often the drummer, for example, will get very upset if the group begin to seek satisfaction elsewhere and feel humiliated by discovering that the others get a better performance from an electronic rhythm machine.
And does this syndrome have a name?
Yes, crap drummer syndrome. You'll have to excuse me, I have to leave now. I have a 2-hour session with Jerry Spice.
Ah, so you're at work on that one too.
Work? You said anything about work?
Well, as promised earlier, a sneak preview of the latest new Fly on the Wall documentary. It's called Fly on the Wall, and it's about some flies on a wall.
Yes, according to the producers, the series covers a year in the lives of the flies on the wall, and over the course of 12 months, we get to meet a whole series of fascinating and lovable characters. Sounds great, doesn't it, Mike?
Riveting isn't the word.
Yes, the producers say they hope it will be a big hit in the tradition of airport, hotel, driving school, pleasure beach, lakesiders, and 368 other series. I think actually we've got a clip coming up now, and the series is narrated by Bob Peck.
Early summer, and the flies are preparing to leave the wall and start the year's activities. The first to leave are Nora, the funny old battle-axe with a strong regional accent, her long-suffering husband Fergus, and Nicky, the camp one who's amusingly articulate. Nora and Fergus, meanwhile, have flown out into the street in search of some fresh dog mess on which to land.
Land down there! Down there!
Where? What?
Down there, that tunnel land!
What are you talking about?
Down there! Oh, you missed it now. Dirty Great Todd, just down there by the keep left sign.
But why didn't you say so?
I did say so.
You're louder than I said. Keep your eye out, didn't I?
Kept all 4,000 sodding eyes out and you missed it.
Nicky, meanwhile, is walking about on his piece of cheese.
Well, what I normally do is walk around like this, and then I stop and rub my front legs about like this. Apparently humans think we're spitting out enzymes or something, but the truth is, I just like rubbing my legs together.
Next week, Nicky gets caught in a jar of jam. Nora gets lost on the Northern Line, and Fergus has a... Oh. Sorry.
On next week's show, we have some thought-provoking items. We'll be talking about euthanasia. The Bishop of Blandford will be putting the case against voluntary death, and Vanessa Phelps will be putting the case for.
Let's face it, Vanessa Phelps is the case for. We want to know what you think. Should you be allowed to drop off the perch whenever you fancy, or should you be forced to hang on in there, sustained helplessly in your terminal state by a chemical cocktail of powerful drugs, denied the chance to control your own destiny, hamstrung by a conspiracy of outmoded religious dogma and the arrogance of the medical establishment? But don't let me try and sway you.
And on a jollier note, we'll be talking about pants. The great wide front V jockeys debate. So that's euthanasia and pants. Right here on Life, Death and Sex.
With Mike and Sue. Oh, and 1 second, actually, just before we go, we do have a caller coming through. It's Mr. Hill from West London again.
Yes, hello again, my dear. Sorry to... but I've been replaying your question, and there's no doubt now, in my mind, vis-à-vis my wife's eyes, that blue is the colour. Football, of course, is the game.
That's fortunately all we have time for. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sue.
And this has been Life, Death and Sex.
With Mike and Sue.
Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue was written by Steve Punt from a format by Bill Dare. It starred Robert Duncan and Jan Ravens with Roger Blake, Alistair McGowan, Ronnie Ancona and Steve Punt. Music was by Mark Burton and the producer was Alid Evans.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Sue.
And this is Life, Death and Sex.
With Mike and Sue.
Hello and welcome to the program that's all about families and relationships. Coming up later, student loans.
The embarrassment of borrowing money from your children. But our first topic this week is leisure and relaxation.
In the old days, leisure used to mean country walks, a visit to a stately home, a trip around a museum.
Today, nothing's changed, except you have to pay to get in. But first, holidays. Mention leisure and most people...
Sue, before we go on, I feel I should bring up something that's very close to us on this program.
What's that, Mike?
Something the listeners will think very odd if we don't mention it. It's been on everyone's mind.
Well, I'm sure the listeners...
No, Sue, please hear me out. None of us, including the listeners, have been able to avoid certain scurrilous, untrue reports in the gutter press concerning somebody on this program who I won't name. But, Sue, can I just say we don't believe a word of it?
Thank you very much, Mike.
I've said my piece. I won't mention it again.
So on to our first...
I mean, there's no way they could make the charges stick, Sue. Look, I've been in those changing rooms at Harvey Nichols. I don't see how you could fit 2 people in. Let alone with one of them kneeling down.
I think you'll find that sub judice, actually, Mike.
My lips are sealed.
Thank you.
As I'm sure yours were that afternoon in Harvey Nicks.
Yes. On to our first item. Mention leisure, and most people will think of holidays.
You know how it is. You've checked in at the hotel.
You're sunning yourself on some exotic beach.
But somehow you still can't enjoy it.
Come on, darling, relax.
I am relaxed.
No, you're not. You're still thinking about the office.
Rubbish. I'm relaxing. I'm listening to my headphones.
Which are attached to your mobile phone, which is connected to the office.
Well, I've got to keep an eye on them.
Nonsense. They'll manage perfectly well without you.
That's why I'm keeping an eye on them. They might find they don't need me.
Look, Sophie, just forget about the office and have fun.
I am having fun. Look, I brought my executive toys with me. Whee! See? Newton, what a rascal, eh?
Come on, let your hair down. Go topless, huh?
All right. I'll take my jacket off.
Good. And we're on holiday, yeah? You don't have to get up at 6 every morning.
I've got to get my 22 lengths in.
You swam 22 lengths of that?
Yes.
But it's the Mediterranean.
I know. I'm going to be so fit for the inter-office swim-a-thon.
Look, just leave the office behind for once.
I have.
Then why did you bring your desk with you?
Well, so there's somewhere for Sandra to lay out my file.
Nearly finished, Mrs. Wheeler.
Thank you very much, Sandra.
Look, let's have lunch. There's a lovely little taverna just down the coast.
I don't seem to have a window in my diary this week. Why don't you phone Sandra on Monday and she'll try and fit you in?
Look, for the last time, Sophie, if you want this relationship to last, you've got to forget about work and enjoy yourself.
I can't.
Why not?
I told my husband this was a business trip.
Now, leisure also means sport, but some people aren't content with plain old football or cricket. Oh, no, they want their sport with a bit of an edge to it, like our next guest, Craig Stevens of the Dangerous Sports Association.
Hello.
Tell me if I got this right, Craig. Your club is dedicated to the wilder shores of the sporting continent, sports such as snowboarding, bungee jumping, paraskiing, and the like.
You calling me a wuss? We don't just do bungee jumping, we do helicopter bungee jumping.
Oh, that sounds a bit hairy.
Yeah, every chance you'll have your head severed on the rebound. We take them blindfold chess and up the stakes a little. It's now blindfold Formula One.
So these sports, how popular are they?
Well, we started out with nearly 1,000 members, but after a record year, I'm pleased to say, we're down to 23.
Oh.
So what are you saying? You're saying that's not good enough?
Oh, no, we,
I'm doing my best. These last 23 just keep hanging on. Still, next month's Scrabble tournament might help things along.
Scrabble?
With a leopard.
A leopard?
Yeah, I stole it from the zoo after the doctors discharged me. It's in the car. Do you want to see it?
Yes, Craig, we'd love to see it. I tell you what, why don't you go to the front desk,
right?
Tell the men in uniforms that you've got a leopard in your car and you want to bring it inside.
Right.
And we'll see you when we see you.
Okay. You're listening to Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue.
In part 2, we'll be unravelling the mystery of the ages.
Just how old is Jerry Halliwell?
But first, we're looking at leisure and relaxation.
Now, whatever your leisure interest, it's important not to take it too far.
Can you get that, darling?
Yeah, okay.
Hello.
Hello.
We're your new neighbours.
Yes, we just saw the removal van and we thought we'd pop in to,
Say hello.
Hello.
Right, yes. Hello. Well, perhaps you'd better come in. Jennifer?
Yes, Doug. Oh, my God.
These are our new neighbours.
Yes, of course.
I'm Peter and this is Jean.
Hello.
Stephen and Jennifer.
Yes, hi. Well, the kettle's just boiled. Would you like a cup of tea? Oh, I'd love one.
Well, come into the living room. But mind where you tread.
Yes, please.
Now, by the way, I should mention, before you hear it from anyone else, that Jean and I are nudists.
But we're not those can't be weekend nudists, no. We believe in total nudity all of the time.
Yeah, so I gather.
Yeah.
So, do sit down.
Oh, what a lovely white sofa.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Stephen, shall we put a towel on it first?
Yes, because it got a bit grimy in the van.
That's right.
Moving.
Oh, no, that's all right. We don't mind.
Oh, it's lovely and comfy.
You sink right in, don't you?
So, where have you moved here from?
Where did we move from, Jennifer?
Reigate.
No, spilt the tea.
Yes, darling. Well, perhaps if you looked at the cups instead of elsewhere.
Cups. Yes, cups. Would you like a biscuit, Jean?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, Butterfingers.
It's all right. It's just rolled under the sofa. I'll get it.
Oh, no, you'll have to get down. You'll have to get down on your hands and knees, Peter.
Well, I can't see.
You'll have to bend down further, Peter.
Yeah, here it is.
Stephen,
What?
I just remembered we must defrost the chicken.
Reigate, eh? Peter's got a cousin in Reigate, haven't you, dear?
Yeah, funny chap he is.
Bit eccentric.
Oh.
He had a lovely lawn, and he paved it right over.
Mad.
Yeah.
Peter? They're raising the drawbridge at Diddlecock Castle.
I'm sorry about this, folks. I assure you it's completely spontaneous, nothing personal, you understand? It's just a flow of blood to the extremities. I'm sure Stephen knows what I'm talking about. Of course, if it bothers you, I could pop a doily on it or something.
I think the doilies are unpacked.
Well, let me just finish this cup and place it. So, Bob's your uncle.
Very good.
I must say, you're very understanding of our way of life.
Oh, believe me, not everyone's as broad-minded as you and your lovely wife.
Oh, no. We're not married.
What?
No, we're just living together.
Yeah, living together.
Oh, you people disgust me. Come on, Jean, we're leaving.
They've still got our cup.
Leisure for many people means keeping fit.
No, it certainly does for me, Sue. You know, I always try to get down to the gym at least 3 times a week.
Yeah, and do you succeed?
Yeah, laugh away, Sue, but sometimes you can have the devil of a job finding a gym with the right sort of class.
I thought you were a member of that posh one in Chelsea.
Yeah, I was, but ever since they sold those photos of Diana, God bless her, I said there's no way they're going to put pictures of me in the papers.
Well, so far so good.
You see, Sue, I've got this little trick I use to avoid press intrusion. I make sure I'm never caught on security cameras with a shop assistant in the changing room of Harvey Nichols.
So you don't go to the one in Chelsea. Where do you go to keep fit? The Sanctum Club?
Well, we had a little misunderstanding, so I don't go there anymore.
What about that gym at the end of your road?
Oh, it's too close.
Too close?
Well, once you've got the car out and found a parking space, it's time to go.
So, you don't actually go to a gym at all?
No, I work out at home. I'm well on the way to a 6-pack stomach.
6 packs of crisps.
Laugh away, Sue, but can I just mention sagging breasts, flabby thighs, and pasty complexion?
You certainly can, Mike, and it's very brave of you to admit it.
One leisure activity that many of us enjoy is gardening.
Yes, the average man, for example, thinks about gardening once every 7 days.
But what happens when things go wrong? Now, to answer your problems and queries is our regular gardening expert, Pippa Wilmington.
Hello.
Hello, Pippa. Now, first of all, we've got a letter here from a Mrs. Beddoes of Gloucester. She says, Dear Pippa, when we first got married, my husband and I enjoyed a full and active gardening life together.
Oh, yeah.
But now he seems to have lost interest.
Oh, right.
Whenever I suggest a bit of gardening, he claims he's too tired. And then if I can talk him into the garden, he lasts about 5 minutes, then rolls over and goes to sleep. What shall I do?
Well, Mrs. Beddoes, nowadays, what you got to remember, it doesn't have to be the man who initiates the gardening. Why should he have to do all the work? You know, spice up your gardening life by dressing more suggestively, perhaps. You know, maybe long gardening gloves, for example, Wellingtons, storm-proof trousers, you know, and before long, you'll find you'll be the one who's exhausted.
Here's a letter from a Mr. Lukins of Redcar. Dear Pippa, I'm having difficulty getting my tomato plants to stay up. When I do manage, they start drooping before I can enjoy them. I used to laugh about this sort of thing with my mates, but I never thought it would happen to me.
Can I just say, Mr. Lukens, you're not alone. This is a common problem. Now, I recommend you visit a specialist shop where there are a number of sprays available: green fly, black fly, red spider, or you could try looking at the pictures in magazines. Gardener's World, for example.
And finally, Mrs. Capes of London writes, "Dear Pippa, my husband has taken to disappearing into the garden shed with a seed catalogue. I don't know what he's doing in there, but when he comes out, he's got a satisfied look on his face. Should I be worried?"
No, absolutely not, Mrs. Cape. Nothing to worry about. He's probably just masturbating.
And our final topic this week is crises. And we begin with crises at work.
How ironic. Considering one example of a crisis at work might be a female presenter of a show being prosecuted for indecency.
Yes, and another example might be the female presenter of a show giving the male presenter a punch in the throat.
Yet another example might be the female presenter getting the sack as a result. And sacking's the topic of our next item. We all know what it's like to be sacked.
Some of us more than others, Mike.
But think how much harder it is for the boss. It's never pleasant to have to sack an employee.
And many bosses are developing new strategies for coping with it.
Come in, David. Have a seat.
Mr. Poulter.
Make yourself comfortable. Tea? Coffee?
No, thanks.
Good. This won't take long. Now, since we were taken over, I imagine you've noticed a few changes in the office, eh?
Yes, Mr. Poulter. Is it this downsizing thing?
I see your seat's ahead of me, David. Good. Yeah, it is this downsizing thing, and, well, there's no easy way of saying this.
It's all right, Mr. Poulter. I was sort of half expecting it.
Oh, well, then you won't be surprised when I tell you that I've looked at the manpower figures for your department, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to kill you.
What?
Well, you see, there's a world recession, isn't there? So we're having to cut our coat to suit our cloth.
Excuse me, Mr. Poulter, backtracking a little. Did you just say you're going to kill me?
That's right, yeah. Yeah, we've looked at the alternatives: redundancy, early retirement, multi-skilling, and they're simply not cost-effective. So, yeah, we're going to kill you.
So, when you announced that Emily Thomas in accounts had left to be with her family in Essex...
That's right. Shallow grave in Epping Forest.
Oh. You can't do this.
Why not?
Because the Employment Act clearly states that I'm entitled to the presence of my union representative.
All right, if you insist. There he is.
Oh, my God!
We'll just pop him on the sofa, shall we?
You killed the union rep!
Of course I did. This isn't the 70s, you know. No. Let's get it over with, shall we?
Oh, wait. Why don't you let me do it myself?
Eh?
Well, you want the convincing suicides, fingerprints, ballistics, you know?
Good idea. Here's the gun, then.
Thanks.
With thinking like that, David Poulter, it's a shame you're leaving us.
But I'm not leaving.
Pardon?
Downsize this!
Oh! David, you realise this is a sackable offence? You've gone too far. I'm going to have to let you go.
Yo, blast.
Crisis at the office.
All too often, crises arise within the family.
And sadly, it's usually the fault of the kids.
Unless it's the fault of the parents.
Which it wouldn't be, because they're probably being provoked by the kids.
And the real test of any parent is how they cope with the most heart-rending crisis of all.
Mum? Dad?
Yes, son?
There's something I've got to tell you.
That's all right, dear. Come in, sit down.
Well, you know you can tell us anything.
What's on your mind, darling?
Well, the thing is, you think you know me pretty well.
That's right. We've always encouraged you to be honest.
Well, there's no easy way of putting this, but the truth is...
Yes?
I'm stupid.
What?
You mean my son's a thicko?
We prefer not to use that word, Dad.
I'll use whatever damn word I like.
Now, Kenneth, don't lose your temper. Listen, dear, are you sure this stupidity isn't just a transient phase?
Sorry, Mum, I don't understand the question.
Maybe you're just confused.
Of course I'm confused. It's part of being stupid.
We tried so hard. We bought you books.
Never read one of them.
Took you to the theatre.
Fell asleep.
You watch Countdown every day.
I like the music.
Well, this... I don't know what to say. I mean, what sort of future is there for a stupid person?
Dad, I can do all sorts of things. Merchant banker, geography teacher, political correspondent at the Daily Mail.
We have such
Mum, don't worry. I'm still going there. I'm doing media studies.
When did you find out you were like this?
I suppose I've always known. And then I realised there were people at school who were just like me, just pretending to be clever. And on TV as well. People like Richard Littlejohn, Eamon Holmes, and Robinson.
Well, I suppose we should have guessed you were stupid when we caught you buying that Mick Hucknall album.
But he is a stupid icon, Mum.
No, I don't believe you're stupid. I think someone's been putting ideas into your head.
Well, they tried, but nothing stuck. That's what being stupid means.
Don't get clever with me.
Well, I don't think there's much chance of that. Now, look, son, however you choose to live your life, you will always be our son.
Thanks, Mum.
We're proud of you for being so brave, instead of one of those unhappy little men who live their lives trying to hide it. Isn't that right, Kenneth?
Sorry, dear, I don't understand the question.
The crisis of stupidity. Now, having a crisis in your life is bad enough, but imagine the additional stress of having your personal embarrassment splashed all over the tabloid press. Here to justify, if he can, his intrusion into the private life of an ordinary celebrity is tabloid editor Stuart Davis. Tell me, Stuart, how do you sleep at night?
Well, Mike, we're both in the entertainment business. You need the publicity, we need the stories.
But there is one particular story which could cause a lot of personal grief and hurt to somebody very close to this show. I think you know the one I mean.
Let's just keep it general, shall we?
But Sue, the public has a right to know. I mean, what is the justification for publishing photos like these? Taken by the security cameras in Harvey Nichols' changing room.
Mike! That story. Mike, I thought you wanted to talk about the other story.
What other story?
Well, you know, the one about the celebrity who's been banned from every gym in London for groping.
Oh, really? Do go on, Stuart.
Well,
let's keep it general, shall we?
I think the public has a right to know.
Well, we've got photos, Sue, statements from the ladies involved, a lot, but we don't want to publish till we've spoken to the gentleman concerned. So, any comment, Mike?
Yes. You don't see me forcing my nose into people's private affairs.
Forcing my nose into people's privates. Lovely quote, Mike.
Wait,
We'll send you a copy. Cheers.
The horrors of tabloid intrusion. I can do the next bit if you like, Mike.
Oh, would you?
Family life is simply riddled with crises.
Well, I'll drink to that, Sue.
For example, when children get older and start questioning the world about them.
Daddy, can I ask you a question?
Yes, of course, Siobhan. I'm always pleased when you seek to expand your knowledge of the world. As long as you're aware, my answer will be based on scientific fact, not superstition dressed up with baby talk.
Yes,
Good.
Well, do you know when my goldfish died?
Yeah?
Well, Granny says he's gone to heaven.
No, that's quite wrong. Heaven and hell are essentially medieval constructs aimed at bolstering the hegemony of the priesthood.
Oh. So, what happened to him then?
He died of a fungal infection and we flushed him down the toilet.
So when Grandpa died, did you flush him down the toilet?
No. We put him in a hole in the ground where he's undergoing a process of decay through the agency of bacteria and maggots.
So he hasn't gone to heaven?
Correct. Do you have any more misconceptions I can straighten out?
Where do babies come from?
This old chestnut. Well, babies are the result of a process called sexual intercourse.
Is that what you were doing with Mummy in your bedroom last night?
Yes, that's quite correct, yes. The process involves the insertion of my penis into your mother's vagina. I move it back and forth until orgasm. A zygote is then formed within your mother's ovum.
Why was Mummy making that funny noise? Was that orgasm?
No, she was pretending. Mummy no longer finds me sexually attractive and feels the need to encourage me.
Why?
Because she's hoping for another baby before her ovaries dry up.
Oh, but Granny says a stork brings them.
No, honestly, if you thought about it, Siobhan, for just 2 seconds, you'd realise that a stork's musculature is really quite inadequate when it would come to conveying a human baby of even average weight.
But Granny...
No. Besides all this, you see, this raises a further question, doesn't it, as to where the stork would get the baby from, you see? Anything else?
Can I have ballet lessons?
What for?
I want to be a ballerina when I grow up.
I'm afraid that's quite impossible.
Why?
Well, because your legs are too thick, and by the time you're 15, I fear you're going to be quite a donut. Moreover, ballet dancing requires discipline, which, seeing as you have missed all your targets at school, you patently lack.
But, Nanny,
No,
I want
please, no tears. No, thank you. Yep. Crying, you see, is a waste of emotional energy that would be more usefully directed toward academic achievement, you see. And there's no tooth fairy. Father Christmas is the school caretaker, dressed up, and Towser didn't go to live on a farm with fluffy bunny rabbits. We had him put down because I don't like dogs.
Daddy, you're spoiling everything.
I spoil nothing. I am merely removing mystery and replacing it with clear, scientific fact.
But Granny says that all children should have hope in their life.
Then Granny is mistaken. There is no hope, no purpose, no evil, and no good in the universe. Nothing but blind, pitiless indifference.
Well, then what's the point of life? What's the point of anything?
No, come on. You're beginning to sound like your mother. Before that suicide attempt. Now...
Well, let me tell you a fact, Daddy. You're a bitter, joyless old sod, and everybody hates you, and when we grow up, we're going to put you in a home. Oh, grow up!
Well, there you have it.
But something like that isn't the end of the world.
No, indeed, Mike. But something that would be the end of the world is a massive asteroid smashing into the Earth and wiping out life in a series of tidal waves and earthquakes.
And possibly interfering with your TV reception.
Here to explain the science behind the speculation is Professor Patrick Rutherford of Cambridge University.
Hello, Mike. Hello, Sue.
Hello. Now, tell us, Professor, what exactly is an asteroid?
Well, Sue, it's perfectly simple. The sun, as you know, travels round the Earth once every 24 hours.
So, I thought the Earth went round the sun.
Sorry?
Well, you said the sun goes round the Earth. Yep.
Doesn't it?
Well, no.
Oh, well. Cheerio, Sue. Cheerio, Mike.
Cheerio.
You're listening to Life, Death, and Sex with Mike and Sue.
International terrorism is a crisis that affects many people.
But mostly it affects the victims of terrorism.
Think of Terry Waite, John McCarthy, and Brian Keenan.
Did I ever tell you, sir, that I was once held hostage?
Really?
Student Rag Week. They wanted the TV company to give £200 to charity.
Oh, golly, that much?
I know. I was locked blindfolded in a student lavatory.
Was it for long?
No. 6 weeks. Had to let me go in the end.
Well, at least you raised £200 for charity.
The crisis of terrorism. It can strike at any moment.
Setting course to 29 red and climbing to 30,000 feet.
Roger.
Sir, madam, you can't go in there.
That's true. Who is in command of this plane?
I am.
Wrong way.
All right, and lower your weapons. Let's all keep calm.
Sit down, pig.
All right. Just tell us which airport you want us to land at, and
We don't want to go nowhere.
We want a radical improvement in the in-flight entertainment.
Yeah. No more of your crap movies. No more Summersby, eh?
No more nobody's fool with Paul Newman.
Why don't you show us Deconstruction Harry, eh?
Scream so.
Yeah, Wes Craven. He's very good.
Well,
he's very good.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, okay. And hey, Buster, he's not just the films, okay? I couldn't get to the toilet because the duty-free trolley was coming the other way.
Let's all stay calm, shall we?
You try staying calm, sweethearts, with a kid kicking the backs of your seat for 6 hours.
And nothing to eat but an ice cream Mars bar.
Well, is that all?
All? All, he says all. Hey, you Western dogs have been calling these shots for too long.
Yes, you call this a pudding, a block of green jelly with hundreds and thousands on the top?
And my headphones, eh? They keep fall out of my ear. They fall. And when they're in, they can only pick up one channel. I got bloody Clive Anderson introducing clips from 50s radio programs, isn't it?
I mean, the Navy lark. Do us a favor.
Hey, I quite like round the horn. You heard?
Quiet, Carlos. No compromise, remember?
See, I remember. And hey, if our demands are not met, my friend, You can expect the severest consequences.
Well, all right. Now, what do you want us to do?
Upgrade us to club class.
Yeah, champagne on demand.
Canopies, table with flowers on it.
Foxy flight attendants, not these leathery old bags with too much makeup from economy. On whom the ravages of gravity have exacted their toll.
Charlotte, less of the body fascism.
Sorry.
Look, I'm afraid that's quite out of the question. Club class is full.
Oh, then we will have to start emptying it with this.
You can't do that.
Look, those people have paid good money.
If that is your will, then so be it. Hey, Layla, start with the seats nearest the toilets.
All right. Now, there's a way out of this.
Oh?
We're prepared to offer you 25% off your next flight with this airline. It has to be taken up before March the 31st. God. Now, perhaps you'd care to hand over your weapons?
Oh, sorry, but that is impossible.
Impossible. We got to hand them back to the 12 Iraqi terrorists waiting outside, isn't it?
And that's nearly it for this week.
We've just got time to remind you of today's telephone poll.
The question is, do you think telephone polls are rigged?
Phone 0860 157 143 if your answer is no.
Next week, sex in dangerous places.
A warning from a leading proctologist. So that's all from us.
But if you want to see more of Mike, buy a downmarket tabloid this Sunday.
And if you want to see more of Sue, get a job as a sales assistant in an upmarket department store. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sue.
And this has been Life, Death and Sex.
With Mike and Sue.
Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue was written by Ian Brown and James Hendrie from a format by Bill Dare. It starred Robert Duncan and Jan Ravens with Roger Blake, Alistair McGowan, Ronnie Ancona and Tracy-Ann Oberman. Music was by Mark Burton and the producer was Aled Evans.
And I'm Sue.
And this is Life, Death and Sex.
With Mike and Sue. Hello.
Tonight we'll be looking at the thorny question of drugs.
Yes, we'll be asking the question all responsible parents want to know. Namely, are our kids having a damn sight more fun than we did?
We'll also be looking at the controversial question of sex and asking the question,
are our kids having more fun than we did?
We'll also be looking at the question of the future. What does it hold? What will the world be like in 50 years' time? We'll be asking the questions that every concerned and responsible parent wants to know.
Why are the little buggers having so much more fun than we did?
Now, tonight is a very important night for us here on the show. Tonight, for the very first time, you can phone in live as the program goes to air and give us your views on anything you want to talk about.
Yes, indeed. We're throwing the lines open, so call us.
You can also talk to us online by email at chat/mikesue@bbc.co.uk. Only please don't, because we really don't know how it works.
Or you can fax us, but don't, because the fax machine's upstairs in the office, and frankly, we're not going to bother. Tonight is our special phone-in edition. Phone in, perhaps about parenting or house hunting or any other topic that interests you.
Now, I'd like to know, for example, what you think about money in sport.
You're not interested in sport?
No, but I am in money. Seems to me that a lot of sports people these days are more interested in doing commercials than they are in playing. According to some reports, there seems evidence that some footballers are doing so many adverts it's starting to get to them.
Well, a terrific game there. The final result, 3-2, and here with me is the scorer of that last vital goal. Talk us through it.
Well, sometimes when it's 2-2 and only a minute to go, you want that extra lift, and that's when you need one of Ian's through balls.
But once you were through there, the goalkeeper seemed a little uncertain.
Ian's been putting together through balls for over 10 years now, and they're as good today as they've always been. Light, accurate, with just enough pace. Ian's through balls can really make the difference.
Okay, thank you. Well, it was a better second-half performance altogether, though, wasn't it? In the first half, the whole team, well, to me, they looked a wee bit tense and nervous.
Tense? Nervous?
You could be suffering from an indecisive skipper.
Well, he does seem to have lost his form a little.
Tony's form can go down as well as up, and you may not get the full transfer value you invested. Playing conditions may vary, and Tony's past playing ability is not necessarily a guide to the future. See press for details.
Well, thanks very much for talking to us.
It's good to talk.
You're listening to Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue. What do you mean I'm not interested in sport? I am interested in sport.
We're taking calls on any subject under the sun that you want to share with us. Parenting, house buying, or perhaps you have an opinion on men and why they feel they have to be interested in sport.
I am actually, really. I'm a lifelong supporter of Manchester Rovers.
Are you really a man if you don't like sport? Call us. On the line is John.
Hello?
Hello, John. You're through to Mike and Sue. Do you want to talk about parenting or house hunting?
I wanted to talk about my girlfriend.
What's the trouble, John?
I think she's getting bored with me.
Getting bored with you?
Yeah, that's right. I don't want to lose her, but I can sense that she's just slipping away.
Okay, so you've got trouble with the slippery chick. Well, you just talk to your Uncle Mike.
I'm sorry.
He knows how to stop the skirt straying, get the little lady home.
Mike? What's got into you?
I'm counselling, Sue.
So there's all this medallion man talk.
It's not medallion man, it's counselling talk. Putting the caller at his ease.
You're not going to put him at his ease. He's going to think he's being counselled by the singer from Black Lace.
John! Still there, mate?
Yes, Mike.
Man talk here on Mike and Sue. So you think your woman's got a roving eye, huh?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
What makes you think that?
Well, she's always looking at other blokes and talking about blokes she's seen, and when some actor or other who she likes comes on the telly, right, she sits there saying, whoa, you know, and look at him, and how tasty this one is, you know, stuff like that.
And this means she's having an affair, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know.
Sounds to me like she's just a high-spirited lady with an eye for the guys. Now, can I ask you a question, John?
Yeah?
Do you keep the little lady happy? If you know what I mean?
No,
what I'm saying is, are you,
What?
Put it this way, are we talking about the highest pinnacles of ecstasy, the foothills of foreplay, or haven't you left base camp yet? Are you still waiting for a couple of Sherpas to come and help you out?
Sorry, I'm not following you.
Well, let me put it another way, John. Are you steaming down the main line, calling at all stations for Climax Central, or are you just Thomas the Tank Engine, parking down the branch line and having signal failure near Didcot?
Not sure I understand you, Mike.
Oh. Look, I don't know if I can make it much clearer, John. Let me put it this way. Are you sending the lady into orbit while the Earth moves below you, or are you trying to board the Mir space station with a bent docking probe?
Oh, you talking about our sex life?
Oh, congratulations, John. The analogy has landed.
Well, there's nothing wrong with our sex life, no.
Let me be the judge of that, mate. How often are you griddling her oatcakes, then?
Well, about 5 times a week, actually, usually.
What?
5 times a week, he said, Mike.
I know what he said. 5 times a week?
John, are you there? I'm afraid you'll have to wait a moment. Mike's just having a minor heart attack. So let's take another call. We've got Alan in Edgbaston. What's your point about parenting or house hunting, Alan?
I wanted to talk about what the Conservative Party should do to get electable again.
Alan, one word, why? Let's move on to someone who wants to talk rather than tranquilise. We've got Celia in Ipswich.
Oh, hello, yes. Well, I was just thinking this afternoon while I was pottering about the house, about this phrase that I've always wondered about, so I wonder if you could help me with it. Why do you think a baker's dozen?
Why a baker's dozen? Tell me, Celia, are the phone rates particularly cheap tonight, or do you just have money to burn?
Because I thought it might be something to do with bakers in olden days not being able to count very well.
No, I think it refers to the fact that the baker would always have a little bit of dough left over after they'd pressed out a dozen, so they'd get all the leftover bits, make them into a fruitcake, and then send it to live in Ipswich.
Let's move away from the phones for a while and on to our first topic tonight, the minefield of becoming a parent. Now, in these times of high divorce rates and single parents, many people worry about the future of the family. I, for example, worry about all 3 of mine.
Yes, indeed. We followed 2 first-time parents through the exciting but exhausting experience of bringing a new life into the world. Then we went away for 9 months and came back to watch them going through the birth as well.
Nastasia is expecting her first child. She and her life partner, Moonbase, have determined to have the child by entirely natural means.
Yeah, no drugs.
No drugs, right?
Yeah, no drugs, right? No drugs used at the birth.
Yeah, no drugs.
No drugs used at the birth.
Right, no drugs, no.
What about the
right.
conception?
Oh, I can't actually remember.
No, neither can I. That was pretty good stuff, that one.
It's 2:30 a.m. Nastasia has begun her contractions.
Quick! Moonbase!
Huh?
I've had the contraction.
Oh, wow.
Dial 999.
What, the pigs? What do we want with them, fascists?
Not the pigs. Ambulance.
Why, have the pigs beaten you up, fascist? And you're pregnant as well.
Moonbase and Nastasia have been planning for this moment for 9 months. Determined not to succumb to the sinister multinational pharmaceutical industry conspiracy, they have researched natural methods of childbirth and pain relief, beginning with Tibetan breathing exercises.
This is something the people of Tibet have used for thousands of years. It's based on the natural breathing patterns of the yak. Now, breathe, Sassy, breathe. Great. That's great. That's great.
She sounds terrible.
Have you ever heard a yak in labour?
No.
Well, there you are then. If you had, you'd know she actually sounds brilliant. Are you okay, Stas? Great.
So, Nastasia, is this helping?
Not in the slightest. I feel terrible.
At the local hospital, the staff waste no time in bringing Nastasia up to the maternity unit. Now the second part of her plan swings into action.
Well, as you know, our plan is to have an entirely natural birth with no drugs, and this is a Venezuelan birthing blanket.
I see.
Do you see the stitching and the quilting? It's a sacred artifact handed down by the female elders of the tribe from generation to generation.
The label says British Home Stores.
Yeah, well, I'm not Venezuelan, am I? That would be sacrilegious.
I see.
But the birthing blanket helps the mother and it calms her pains.
Is it working?
Not in the slightest.
Now, it's time to move on to the Ukrainian maternity chant. We've been practicing these for many months in anticipation of this moment. Are you ready, Stash? Dotcha, mocha, iska, kra, kra, kra.
Is it working?
Not in the slightest, no. Right, there's nothing for it. We'll have to use the alchemical rites of the ancient days. I require some bat's blood, a silver sickle, and a north-facing window.
No, any chance of an epidural?
Yes. When the moon's halfway across the Manioc of Wotan, it is said to be an epidural moon.
Drugs, give me drugs!
Do you remember, Stash? Those were your words to me when we very first met.
2 hours later, and Moonbase and Stas have a healthy baby son.
He's just amazing. So tiny, and yet somehow so small.
And what are you going to call him?
Well, we're going to name him in memory of the forces that brought him into the world.
That's right. His name's GlaxoSmithKline Beecham.
And many, many thanks to Moonbase and Nastasia for allowing us to make that audio diary. Now, continuing with the subject of parenting, we have a fascinating guest on the show. All of us must at some time or another have marvelled at the incredible fact that human beings alone of all the species on the planet have developed speech. Kevin Lampeter is a professor of applied linguistics who, after years of research, has mastered the technique of talking like a 2-year-old. This amazing project will provide fascinating insights into language acquisition skills, as well as the formation of our social selves and our relations with those around us. Professor, good evening.
No.
Good evening.
No.
I gather this project has taken you over 12 years to complete.
12, 11, 12.
Yes. Professor?
No.
12 years to complete?
No.
Oh, for God's sake, this is pointless.
Now, there, you've made a mistake. There, that is exactly the reaction the child wants.
Sorry?
What a toddler wants is a reaction. Any reaction, an angry reaction, is much better than no reaction at all. You see, so by reacting the way you did, the toddler has already won. You see? You just committed the cardinal error.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
Oh, shut up, Mike.
So you see, you fell into the old trap of thinking that children are little adults, whereas in fact adults are big
children.
Don't believe you.
It's true.
Don't believe you. Don't believe you. It's a load of old floppy plops.
You've fallen for it again.
For what again?
So the same stimulus-response pattern, and yet I could reverse it now very easily by placing myself into the parent role and you into the toddler role.
How?
By simply disenabling your ability to assimilate and react to the verbal responses.
Oh, what?
In effect, replicating the sensations of the toddler in your inability to respond to a verbal stimulus.
Pooh! Pooh! You're talking pooh.
See, the point again is made. However, I could confuse matters now by suddenly switching to your level.
Oh, blah, 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 Mr. Pooh Talk.
Pooh talk, talk a poo.
Hang on, what are you on about?
You see? Immediately you have returned to your adult persona.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have.
Haven't.
Have?
Haven't. No. Oh, yes, you're right, I have.
Yeah, precisely. Now this, you see, is the entire thrust of my research. My theory is that adults and toddlers converse in absolutely identical ways. It's just that adults know more words.
Fascinating. Professor Lampeter, thank you very much. What do you say?
Thank you.
Better. Now, all parents know that sad feeling that children's innocence is increasingly being lost in the modern world and that much of the magic of childhood is being forced away by commercial pressure.
And controversies erupted over Hollywood's new version of Cinderella, described by its makers as a fairy tale for the 90s, co-written by John Grisham and retitled The Godmother Brief.
And you tell the DA's office, no deals or I put Mitchelson on the stand on the Guile Walk. Got that?
Hello. I need a good lawyer.
Hey, you come to the best, baby. What is that on your foot?
Oh, why, it's the glass slipper. It fits.
Glass slipper? Is that safety glass? Shatterproof? Wire reinforced? I mean, does it match current safety standards for vitreous substances used in the manufacture of footwear?
Oh, well, I don't know.
Well, who makes these slippers? We'll sue their ass.
Well, they're mine. I wore them at the ball.
Who took responsibility for this event?
Prince Charming.
We'll sue his ass. The guy's loaded. I don't suppose you...
No! I left at midnight, but my coach had gone.
Who is driving this coach? Give me the name. We'll sue his ass. Premature abandonment of prearranged customer. Clear breach of contract.
Oh, not gone as in gone. It had turned back.
Turned back so he didn't even show up?
Turned back into a pumpkin.
A pumpkin?
At midnight.
Who arranged this method of transportation?
Why, my fairy godmother.
We'll sue her ass.
Oh, no, you can't do that.
Sue her ass into the ground. I can't tell you how many statutes she has violated, knowingly providing a passenger-carrying vehicle liable to transform into a vegetable.
Oh, no, but...
Cinderella, you got away with it this time. Next time, you might be doing 70 miles an hour on the freeway when suddenly, bada bing, your coach turns into a beef tomato and you're ketchup, baby. Last week, I had a girl in here, pricked her finger on a spinning wheel, fell asleep for 100 years. We sued the ass off the spinning wheel manufacturer. That girl is now a rich woman. Okay, so it's 97 years till she wakes up, but when she does, she'll be able to afford the best geriatric daycare in the state.
Oh, but you don't understand. I went to the ball because my ugly sister...
Hey, wait. Ugly sisters? Who called them ugly? We'll sue their ass. Derogatory facial descriptions, discriminatory language. I can get them $500,000 each, maybe $1 million if we find a really ugly jury.
Oh, but I don't want to sue anybody.
You don't want to sue anybody. You got a mutant stagecoach, facially challenged transvestites ordering you about, and you're dancing in shoes that could shatter any second. Leave your feet looking like you just got a pedicure from Freddy Krueger, and you don't want to sue.
Oh, no. I just want to live happily ever after.
I see. You want half when you divorce.
Exactly. Nail his ass into the ground.
That's my girl.
And now it's time for our big debate.
Yes, indeed. Each week we invite an invited audience and tackle the big issues.
This week we return to a subject that always inflames emotions.
We're asking, are things still getting out of hand?
Martin Fletcher, there in the fourth row.
Yeah. Well, Mike, I'm just an ordinary man in the street, right? I've got no education, right? I don't know much about politics and all that. I'm a down-to-earth, I'm a no-nonsense sort of bloke. You know, I'm not an expert. I just speak as I find, and I'll say what I think.
Yes,
and,
you're also rather boring, so we'll move on.
Wait, there's a lady here with her hand up.
Well, I think things have got out of hand, and it's all these adverts in the media and that. You know, I mean, my son, right, he'll see something on the telly, and he's got to have it, and I get no rest till he gets it. Mum, I've got to have that, buy me that, get me that, you know. The number of panty liners he's got is incredible.
And now, Mr. Viner. Mr. Viner, you're an expert.
Yes, I'm a senior lecturer in polyhology.
Pardon?
Polyhology. And we've done a polyhological study, and speaking purely polyhologically, things are beginning to get enormously polyhological.
Okay. Young lady in pink.
Yeah, right, 'cause, like, my brother, right, I mean, I know what he was saying, like, you know, the other day, but all that stuff about all that, I mean, up my way, right, I mean, it's all very well him saying that, right, but what about, 'cause, like, I mean, it's all coming out now, right, isn't it? I mean, what I mean is, 'cause I know what I'm talking about, but, like, she had that bulimia and all that, and, like, she weren't never accepted into the royal family, and I think she's still alive, and they're keeping her in Swiss bank accounts.
Yeah, no, I'll have to stop you there because you're very stupid. And things really are getting out of hand.
You're listening to Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue.
Right, so now it's back to your phone-in, and on the line is Neil in Nottingham, who wants to talk about football.
Oh, I'll take over here, sir.
Go ahead, Neil.
Well, it's about penalty shootout.
Oh, yes.
Go on.
Well, I reckon it's no way to decide a major tournament, is it, really? You know, I mean, like 3 times, you know, England have gone out of a major tournament on a penalty shootout, and the 94 World Cup, you know, that was decided on, wasn't
I'm
it?
sorry to interrupt, Neil. Sue, should I explain what a penalty shootout is?
I do know what a penalty shootout is.
Oh, pardon me. Well, Neil, go ahead. You're talking to Sue, our world soccer correspondent.
Right. Well, you know, the thing is, right, I have some suggestions, right, for FIFA as to better ways to win the penalty shootout.
Aha, that old chestnut. Well, go ahead.
Mike, this is my caller.
Oh, I forgot. I expect you've got suggestions too, Sue. Hello, Neil.
All right.
Sue thinks that if there's a draw at the end of extra time, the match should be decided on which team have the player with the nicest legs.
Go on, Neil.
Well, my first suggestion, right, is that after extra time, right, if the scores are level and that, they should get 6 players from each team, right, meet up in the centre circle and have, like, a trivia quiz. See? You could have any number of subjects, like history, art and entertainment, geography, right, and whoever gets the most points wins the match. And my second suggestion is that the match goes to the team who have the player with the nicest legs.
Yes, right. Thank you to Neil there, future FIFA president. On the line is Gladys from Mitcham. Hello, Gladys.
Hello. Can I speak to Mike?
You're speaking to him. What's your point, Gladys?
Mike, why so brusque?
What? What do you want to talk about?
Such a hurry. You weren't in such a hurry last time we met, were you?
Go on, Gladys.
Don't say you've forgotten me, Mike. Come on, chuckle bum. Gave me your phone number, you know, when you left.
I gave you this phone number?
It was very late. We'd had a lot to drink.
Oh, God. Gladys? I don't remember anyone called Gladys.
Well, I wasn't using my real name, Mike. Most lap dancers don't.
Lap dancers?
Don't you remember? Tuesday night.
Tuesday? I thought that was when you said you were going to a private view at the Royal Academy.
Well, it was a sort of private view. It just wasn't at the Royal Academy.
Well, thank you very much to Gladys and Mitcham. Very much indeed. So, we're talking about football and we're talking about Mike. Anyone else out there with dirt on Mike, please call in now.
No.
Sorry?
This isn't fair. Look, I'm going to storm off air.
Oh, you storm away. I'm quite happy to talk to everyone phoning in, all 86 of them.
86?
The switchboard's lit up all of a sudden.
Look, can't we go to another topic now?
Earlier on, you were very keen to show us what a man you are. I'm fascinated. However, in the meantime, we will move on to the subject of homes and property. property, our living space, has always been important to us all the way through history, although, of course, some cultures achieved greater sophistication much earlier than others.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Changing Tunes. This week the Druids from Salisbury Plain and the Pharaohs from Cairo are going to give each other's properties a makeover. So let's go and see what the Pharaohs make of the Druids' place.
Well, it's a bit drab, isn't it?
Yes, I think they'd like something a bit bigger and more pointy.
Yeah, I'm not so near the A303.
The Pharaohs call in top designer Imhotep Double Barrel Jones.
Okay, right. Well, it's very pagan, kind of Northern European sort of feel they've gone for. I think we want to go for something a bit more North African, kind of ethnic.
Ethnic, great, yeah.
What I think would look really great would be to keep the sort of idea, but go for more of a 300-foot high pyramid.
That'd be nice.
About 200 yards each side, consisting of about 5 million individually quarried and dressed blocks of stone. Except, of course, we'll be using MDF.
Meanwhile, in Egypt, the Druids are redesigning the Pharaoh's place.
Oh, well, of course, it's too much, isn't it?
It's just vulgar, really. What we really want is to get rid of most of these stones, say about 4,999,900 of them, and then just keep the rest and arrange them in a nice circle, perhaps with a nice maritime feel to it.
Oh, lovely.
The Druids' designer is Graham.
But professionally, I am known as Moonbase. And I think that a nice touch would be in the middle here to have a nice big sacrificial slab upon which the blood of virgins can be offered to the gods upon the solstice. Now, normally that would be in solid granite, but to make it easier to wipe clean, we'll be using MDF.
Perhaps the biggest shock to the UK property market came with the arrival of the Romans. They built new houses on greenfield sites all over the country, but more importantly, it is here, say historians, that we find records of the first appearance of professional estate agents.
Of course, they wore togas and were known as Mercator Estatus Tosserus. But apart from that, apparently they were much the same.
Okay, here we are. As you can see, it's the one room, wattle and daub walls, nice straw on the floor, and the door over there has a built-in draft excluder.
Lovely.
Well, it's a dead dog, but it acts as a draft excluder. Central heating from the fire, here, in the centre. Nice hole in the roof to let the smoke out. It's on at 20 groats, but a similar one just up Watling Street went for 22 the other day. I should move quickly if you're interested.
We've got a few other huts we're looking at.
Yeah, well, fair enough. But I shouldn't hang around. I showed a nice couple around a similar property the other day. They went away to think about it, and,
Someone else got an offer in first.
No. The place was burnt down by Vikings. Both of them were disemboweled. Stuck up on spits, just shows you the market's very active.
Yes, we've heard that. It's just that a friend of ours was telling us about some Roman houses going up over the wheels.
Yeah, the modern developments are all very well. I mean, you've got your underfloor heating, brick walls, atrium, so forth, but they're horribly expensive. Plus, if anything goes wrong, HIPAA core starts leaking, you need a plumber.
Yes.
You have to get one over from Italy. And you'll be waiting months. Then they arrive, they don't speak Gallic. Take one look, say they've got to go back to Rome, get the right washer. I mean, it's much safer to stick to your mud hut.
Good and British.
Yeah, I'll just shut this door. I mean, it's all right. It's not a real dead dog. It's MDF.
And now back to the phone-in. The subject is Mike.
No, it isn't.
Oh, yes, the subject is Mike, and frankly, the switchboard is virtually boiling over. So let's take a call. On the line is a Miss Lewinsky from Washington.
Hello, Mike. I'm sorry, darling. I didn't want to say nothing, but that special prosecutor made me.
He's not the only one, so I heard.
And let's move on to Mistress Lash in Bayswater.
Oh, come on, this is absurd.
No. On second thought, let's get a line 2. Yes, on the line is Des Lynham.
Yeah, hello there. Just calling to say that I met Mike at a bit of a charity function a couple of years back, and, I can confirm that he does know very little about sport. So, just thought I'd let you know.
Oh, thanks a bunch.
So, for those who missed that call, here are the highlights. Met Mike once, he doesn't know anything about sport. Stay with us.
I have enjoyed this phone-in experiment. I think next time we'll just go back to doing the show as usual. This is far too dangerous.
Yes, I'm afraid that is all the calls we've got time for.
Next week, single parents, children and drugs, and absolutely no phone calls. I'm off now to a private view of the Royal Academy.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Sue.
And this has been Life, Death and Sex.
With Mike and Sue.
Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue was recorded at the Pleasance Theatre during the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. It was written by Steve Punt from a format by Bill Dare and starred Robert Duncan and Jan Ravens with Roger Blake, Alistair McGowan, Ronnie Ancona and Steve Punt. Music was by Mark Burton and the producer was Alid Evans.
And I'm Sue.
And this is Life, Death and Sex.
With Mike and Sue.
Hello, and welcome to the show that turns the spotlight onto life, death and sex.
Later in the show, we'll be asking, is the British judiciary out of touch with modern life?
Yes, we're going to be quizzing a panel of High Court judges on who the Spice Girls are. And if any of them still give a damn who they are definitely out-of-date old fuddy-duddies.
And also on tonight's show, we're going to be looking at junk mail.
Very briefly, then throwing it in the bin. Of course, we'll be continuing with our running report on the latest craze, Tantric Sex.
Yes, tonight is part 87, and they're still at it. Anyway, belief. The first things we believe are what we're told by our parents.
Oh, now come along. I'm sorry I had to tell you, but you're a big girl now, and you're too old to still be believing in silly things like Father Christmas.
But you always said he was real.
I know I did, but he isn't.
So does that mean I'm not going to get any Christmas presents?
Oh, of course you are. You're going to get lots and lots of lovely things from Mummy and me and from Nanny and Grandad.
Who?
Nanny and Grandad, you know.
You don't expect me to still believe in them as well, do you?
Of course.
And I suppose they live in Nanny and Grandad land.
No, they live in Leighton Buzzard.
Now you're just being stupid.
Oh, look, you've met them. They're the people who always arrive really early on Christmas morning.
And then don't leave until 3 days after Boxing Day.
That's them.
Oh. So is Grandad the ugly one with no hair on his head but lots in his nose and ears, who drinks all of Daddy's sherry and then falls asleep in front of the telly making funny bottom noises?
No, that's Nanny, but it could just as easily be either of them.
Oh, so Nanny's the one that smells of lavender and cabbage, who always complains about Mummy's cooking and keeps on saying you married beneath you, so you and Mummy can go into the kitchen and shout at each other.
Yeah, that's her.
So you're saying that Nanny and Grandad do exist?
Yes.
And Santa Claus doesn't exist?
That's right.
Can't we do a swap?
So, tell me, Mike, did you ever have any traumatic Christmases as a child?
Well, there was a year my parents brought me my very first pet.
Oh, that's nice. What was it, a little dog or a kitten?
No, it was a turkey.
You know what they say, a pet isn't just for Christmas, it's for lunch.
Mind you, it wasn't as bad as the year they gave me an empty box and told me it was an Action Man deserter. Now, belief and faith has started to play a major role in the nation's healthcare.
Yes, that's right, and normally it's in the form of crossing one's fingers and having the faith that there'll be an NHS bed when you need that all-important triple heart bypass.
Because if there isn't one, you might end up having to go to a faith healer, such as our next guest, Betty Webster.
Hello, Betty. Great to have you here. So, faith healing, what's it all about?
Well, the most important thing is the relationship between healer and patient. The patient must have faith in me, in my ability, and...
Bless you.
A special power to cure injury and ill health. I'm sorry about that. Touch of hay fever. Could you lend me a hanky? Have you?
Yes, I'm sure. Yes.
So, how does it work?
Oh, yuck.
Oh, really? Yes, sorry. No, it works by the power of my healing hand as a channel of positive energy, and...
Are you all right, Betty?
Fine. Just a bit of bronchitis. Where was I? Oh, yes. I direct the channels of energy through my healing hand into the patient's body, and then...
What's the matter?
Oh, it's my back. Oh, it's just sciatica. No, don't worry. It'll pass in a moment. Right, I'm okay now. Huh? Whew. But as I say, first and foremost, it's all about having faith in my abilities.
Yes, fine. So, is there anything you can't cure? Say, if I had a multiple fracture of the leg, could you cure that?
Well, funnily enough, I had a multiple fracture of the leg.
And you treated it yourself?
Oh, of course. It's like I always say. If I don't have faith in myself, how can I expect others to?
Would that have been your left leg by any chance?
Yes, it was. And it cleared up in no time.
But you don't have a left leg. It's been amputated.
Yeah, well, just a touch of gangrene, that's all it was. You know, and I tell you, I haven't had a moment's trouble from it since. And anyway, if I can just demonstrate on you, Mike, I lay it on my healing hand like this.
Oh, my God.
I'm so sorry, that's never happened before.
Well, having one's healing hand fall off isn't the kind of thing that can happen.
Well, you know, it might still work with the other hand.
Oh, no, please.
Oh, too late.
Thank you very much, Betty Webster. Mike, I think you should give her a hand. Help her to the studio.
Oh, typical. You leave me to pick up the pieces.
I think there's a dustpan and brush over there somewhere. Now, Betty is thankfully still with us.
Only just.
But some people aren't so lucky. And when people do die, those they leave behind often believe they can still communicate with them beyond the grave.
Who do you wish to contact on the other side?
My wife, Doreen.
Very well. Then breathe into the glass. Turn it upside down on the Ouija board. Place your fingers lightly on the top, and we shall see if there's anybody there. Is there anybody there? The glass moves.
The person on the other side knows you are waiting. Please hold. Typical bloody Doreen, always chatting to her friends.
It is true that we're confronted with ever stranger beliefs, often in the form of religions and cults. As anyone who's ever been accosted in the street and asked to fill out one of those ridiculous personality test forms will know.
That happened to me the other day.
Oh, you didn't do it, did you?
Well, yes. She was rather a striking young woman.
But you know it's just a device to get you to join them. I bet you filled in the form, they saw your personality and told you you had to join them.
Well, no, actually. They took one look at my form and told me to go away.
Sounds like a lucky escape.
Yes, I was lucky.
Well, yes, you as well. Of course, in the old days, it was simple. Either you were a Christian and believed in God...
An atheist and didn't believe in God.
Or you were the Bishop of Durham and didn't believe in anything.
Gossard, come in. Now, I don't seem to have received your essay on the possibility of belief in objective reality yet.
Well, Professor, that depends which way you look at it, doesn't it? Because you speak of not receiving an essay. I would argue that, in fact, you did receive a non-essay.
A non-essay?
Yeah. Because naturally, I did all the reading and that, but the more I considered mankind's historical doubts about the possibility of belief in objective reality, the less faith, I had in the actual existence of any essay I might be writing. Hence the non-essay. At least I got it in on time, now.
True. No, but the fact remains that there is such no essay.
Yeah, in the circumstances, sir, it seemed the only consistent philosophical approach to take. And as such, the only valid articulation of an exposition of the sceptical stance.
Yes, you're right, I think. Now, what essay are you going to write for me next week?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about doing the possibility of belief in objective reality.
That sounds excellent. Hang on, Gossard. Didn't you do that this week?
No, sir, no. What I did this week was a non-essay on the possibility of belief in objective reality, because I don't believe in the objective reality of the essay. So now, right, you have to set me an essay on the possibility of belief in objective reality on the grounds that I haven't written one yet.
Right. Gossard.
Sir?
Didn't this happen last week? And the week before that, and the week before that. In fact, I think I'm right in saying that this has happened every week for your entire time here at university.
It's hard to say, sir, given my sceptical position on the reality of time. Yeah, did I mention that? I was hoping we'd be able to, discuss it in more detail, sir.
Oh, very well then. Yes. Well, 3:30 on Wednesday, shall we say?
Fine by me, sir, yeah. 11 o'clock on Tuesday it is.
Splendid.
And now it's time for our studio discussion.
Yes, now in front of our especially invited audience, we're going to meet Carol. Carol weighs 25 stone. Hello, Carol.
Hello, mate. Sue?
Now, as you can see, Carol is roughly the size of a small ox.
Yep.
Now, Carol has a lesbian lover called Michelle, who once upon a time was called Michael.
That's right.
She desperately wants a child, but can't because Michelle, formerly Michael, is a nun who went into a coma 7 years ago after a praying accident. And Carol would need her sperm, which were removed in the sex swap operation and then frozen.
Now, let's meet Stephen, Carol's twin brother. Stephen is joined to Carol at the hip.
Now, he is a bulimic, and his fundamentalist Christian beliefs mean he's opposed to lesbianism and artificial birth.
So far, so good. But underneath the happy facade, trouble is brewing.
Carol, the 25-stone Siamese twin with the lesbian coma victim sex swap nun lover with frozen sperm, is also allergic to nuts. Even the smell of them can bring on a dangerous allergic reaction.
Meanwhile, Stephen, the bulimic fundamentalist homophobic twin, has developed a rare addiction to dry roasted peanuts. Without them, he suffers agonizing withdrawal symptoms.
All well and good. But below the surface, not everything is rosy.
Because last year, doctors discovered a weakness in the twins' shared heart. This is partly caused by too many nuts and partly caused by not getting enough nuts. They needed a new heart.
No human donor was available, and the only suitable organ belonged to a pig called Nigel.
Nothing odd about that, you might say. Pretty standard fare.
Just the ordinary ups and downs of a 25-stone Siamese twin with a lesbian coma victim sex swap nun lover with frozen sperm and an acute nut allergy, and her bulimic homophobic fundamentalist twin brother with a nut addiction who is simply waiting for a common or garden pig's heart.
But, despite appearances, problems were looming. For Stephen was to abandon Christianity after being sexually harassed by a woman priest, and then he fell in love with a young girl he met on the internet who was an Orthodox Jew.
And is 49 years older than Stephen, with a husband who won't divorce her.
And she's currently on death row for manslaughter.
Although she maintains her innocence.
But from here on came the complications.
Yes. This is where it starts to get tricky. The married, innocent Orthodox Jewish girl on death row is the secret love child of the sex-swap lesbian nun in a coma with frozen sperm that Carol, the 25-stone nut-allergic Siamese twin with the homophobic bulimic fundamentalist nut-addicted brother who needs the heart from Nigel the pig, wants to father her baby.
Yes, indeed. Agony Aunt Miriam Stoops, what advice would you give young Carol here?
And others in her position.
Well, first of all, can I say, don't worry.
But what about her twin brother, Stephen?
Oh, I've written a book for people like him. It's called So You're a Homophobic, Nut-Addicted Siamese Twin Waiting for a Pig's Heart and You Want to Marry a Much Older Married Orthodox Jewish Woman on Death Row who's the illegitimate daughter of the sex-swap lesbian nun in a coma that your sister, a 25-stone nut-allergic twin, wants to father her child.
And you sell many copies of these?
No, not so far. It's what we call a niche market.
Thank you, Miriam. But now it's time for our next topic, which is friendship.
You know, it's a sad fact that many old friends do have a tendency to drift apart and lose contact.
Which is exactly what happened to old buddies Freddie Middleton and Clarence Bristow. Freddie wrote to us saying that he hadn't seen Clarence for 15 years and was very anxious to contact him again.
So we've invited him along to tell us about his old friend.
So, Freddie, where did you last see Clarence?
He was in the witness box at the Old Bailey.
And that was 15 long years ago. What have you been doing since then?
15 long years.
Well, you want to meet your old mate again, and guess what?
It wasn't easy tracking him down. He'd moved to a different part of the country.
He'd changed his name.
And undergone extensive plastic surgery to alter his appearance.
But we've managed to find him for you, and he's here tonight.
And we didn't want to spoil the surprise by telling him just who he's going to meet. But let's bring him on now. And say, Clarence Bristow, say hello to your old friend, Freddie.
Oh, my God, Mad Dog Middleton. Hello, Clarence. Oh, no.
Yes, poor old Clarence there, totally speechless.
I want to have a little word with you, Clarence.
All right, well, I'm sure you two have a lot to catch up on, so after you go backstage and get reacquainted, and we'll join you later to see how you're getting on.
That's a good idea. Come on, Clarence.
No, you don't understand. Help me! Wasn't that heartwarming, Sue?
Yes, it was, Mike. Some of our closest friendships are those we make at university.
That's right. You know, I'm still regularly in touch with at least a dozen people I met at Oxford.
Oh, yeah, I should have said the same does apply to polytechnics as well.
Actually, I think you'll find that Oxford Brookes is a fully fledged university in its own right.
Well, yes, it is now, but then so's my old kindergarten.
Ah, all hail mighty Jim, Prince of the Wombats.
Yeah, hi, you know we're best mates and all that.
Ah, yes, since our inaugural encounter at the Dungeons and Dragons stall at the College Freshers' Fair, all those not inconsiderable numbers of moons ago, we have been verily as two Siamese hobbits.
Quite. And yet, you see, the thing is, though we are very much best mates, and it has been a really great 12 years sharing this flat, I can't help feeling that it's become a little crowded.
Oh, zounds, sire! 'Tis the psychic power of the necromancer of old.
What?
Well, for the self-same thought has been permeating my own synaptic plane. To wit, this palatial communal abode, while it doth suffice mightily for a brace of peeploids, I do fear there has become a cuckoo in the nest.
Well, good. That's very understanding of you, Ian. Obviously, it'll take you a couple of weeks to find a new place.
It's the visitor from planet Woman of which you speak. My dilithium crystal sensor has been picking up her presence on an almost nightly basis. It is almost as if she wishes to make her home here.
She does, Ian, and her name's Jane, and she's my wife.
Ooh. Is he still here?
Of course he is, you mischievous minx. He lives here.
Yeah, and so does she, Ian, and she has done for 7 years.
Have you told him yet, Jim?
Well, I was just about to.
Just tell him, for God's sake.
Deliver thy message, O Oracle, for like Spock, I am all ears.
Yeah, well, good, because the thing is, Ian, we're thinking that I want to turn this room into a library.
Oh, for Christ's sake!
Forsooth, a wondrous choice of bedtime reading shall soon be mine.
Or maybe a bedroom for the children to sleep in.
Ah, now I understand the heart of the nub of the point of the matter.
Good.
And I have no objection to sharing, if they're quiet.
No, listen. There are too many of us here, Ian. And so, someone Ian, has to move out. Ian.
Well, if you're sure, but it seems mightily cruel, for after all, they are but children.
Oh. Jim, I mean, how can you get through to this man?
Yeah, I know. I haven't done this for a while, but it might just do the trick. All hail, Ian, Thane of the portal of Alpha Centauri.
Oh, hark! Who is this knocking at the Stargate? I prithee, friend or foe?
'Tis Jim, thine cosmic ally.
Jim, Prince of the Wombats?
The same. How goes thy mission today?
Jim, can you just tell him now, please?
For the galactic charts are indeed propitious for such endeavours.
Jim!
Oh, that is fighting talk, and by fortune I have my Dungeons and Dragons set upon my wardrobe top.
Ah, 'tis a not inconsiderable number of moons since we two fine warriors have crossed swords at Dunjonia and Dragoons.
Oh, right, that's
it. I'm leaving.
The fight is on.
Let battle commence.
Come on, children. We're going to stay with Granny.
Oh, my God, Ian. She's gone. She's left me.
Oh, I'm really sorry, mate. I never realised...
Ah, Foolsy! Oh, that's one up to me, I think, on the register of Josh.
No, thou hast done me up like a veritable kipper.
In an increasingly busy world, it can be all too hard to find the time to meet new people.
Oh, that's right, Sue, which is terribly sad because you can get depressed and lonely.
But to look on the bright side, at least one of those people you'll never meet is Jeffrey Archer.
But for those people who do want to meet new friends, help is at hand.
They say that music is the food of love, but if it were the food of friendship, our next guest is the man who folds the napkins and hands you the menu.
Yes, please welcome Steve Maitland.
Steve, it's great to have you here.
It's a pleasure.
Now, Steve, your music is all about bringing people together, so let's have a quick listen to a couple of your best love pieces.
Super.
Make new friends on the telephone. Call 0898 21 31 4.
And...
Make new friends on the telephone. Call 0898 36 37 3.
And, of course, the unforgettable.
Make new friends on the telephone. Call 0898 77886.
Now, you know, wonderful. I bet you're asked this all the time, but out of all your great pieces, any particular personal favourites?
Well, lots of them have special memories for me, but... if I had to pick one, I suppose it'd be 0898 26 27 4.
Well, let's have a listen to that quickly, come.
Make new friends on the telephone. Call 0898 26 27 4.
Yes, I was particularly pleased with the final cadence, with the modulation on the 4. It's very neat, I say so myself. And believe it or not, I completed the commission in just a couple of hours.
Oh, amazing.
You know, my own favourite was definitely, 0898 35 65 8.
Oh, yes, they're the one with Melinda Messenger in the advert. Yes. Funnily enough, that was popular with a lot of men.
Well, moving on. Now, Steve, I gather your latest work is a bit of a departure.
Yes, it is. Well, the thing is, in any art form, and I do think of myself primarily as an artist, there's always something new round the corner. In painting, it was perspective. For me, it was the advent of 0891 numbers. Yes, focusing purely on 0898, it's been a massive challenge.
And we're going to hear your latest composition now. And have I got this right? I think it's entitled 0891 33 66 8.
Make new friends on the telephone. Call 0891 33 66 8.
Gosh, that was really, well, that was very different indeed.
Well, yes, because, you see, what I was doing there was inverting the entire...
Why don't you admit that your entire industry is a rip-off?
Well, look, I just write the job.
Luring people into ringing these lines with images of semi-clad women, then charging them 20 quid for as little as a half-an-hour call, it's immoral.
Well, it's not really my fault.
I mean, even for a light to moderate user, that adds up pretty quickly. And it's one nasty shock when the phone bill arrives and you have to explain it to your wife. Or your ex-wife now.
Your ex-wife?
Yes, thanks to you and your bloody phone lines.
Well, in that case, why don't you try...
Sad, lonely, divorced and bitter. Ring 0891 22 23 3.
Well, perhaps we should move on now.
What was that number again?
You're listening to Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue.
Well, here we are backstage because it's time to see how our reunited friends Freddie and Clarence are getting on.
The door seems to be jammed. Hi, Freddie, Clarence, are you in there?
Who is it?
It's Mike.
And Sue. We're just wondering how many years you've managed to catch up on so far.
Back off.
Well, obviously, Freddie's a little overcome with emotion. Is Clarence there?
Yeah.
Any chance of a quick word with him?
No, he can't talk at the moment. He's had a nasty accident.
Oh, dear. Well, does he need any help or anything?
Leave it, I'm taking care of him.
Well, it's great to see old friends looking after each other. It's a pity about the door, but we'll get maintenance to come and have a look at it, and we'll be hearing more from Clarence and Freddie later in the programme. When it comes to making real friends, they say there's nothing as strong as a friendship forged in adversity.
Well, Corporal, the big push is about to start.
Yes, sir. Yes, looks like this is it.
Yes. So, Corporal, in case we don't make it, I just wanted to take this opportunity to say what an honour and a privilege it's been having you serve under me.
You don't need to say that, sir.
No, I want to. I know we come from very different backgrounds, and if it hadn't been for this damned war, we'd probably never have met.
Probably not, sir.
But, Corporal... Corp... I'd like to think we've become friends.
Would you, sir?
Yes, I think so, don't you?
Well, I don't know about that, sir. I must admit, I'd always thought of you as more of an arse than a friend.
An arse?
Yes, sir, as in stuck up and toffee-nosed.
Oh. Well, I suppose I may come across a little bit that way. And it's good that we can speak our minds freely. That's what friends are for, eh?
If you say so, sir.
Yes, it shows our real camaraderie. Because, I've never really had many friends, Ever since prep school, I've always had problems with me.
Shut up, sir.
What?
You're always whining on, sir.
No, I'm not.
No, it's always me with you. You think it's so hard being hoity-toity, well-to-do Lord of the Manor, don't you?
Well, it's not been easy, Living like an animal out here with all your common people. I mean, you come from a slum, so you're probably used to it.
Oh, that's charming, that is. Common, is it? I see.
No, look, Corporal. Let's not fall out. Not now. I couldn't bear it. And I have something for you. Something I want to give you.
Oh, a present? Well, that's very nice of you, sir. What is it?
It's something very precious to me that I want you to have.
Oh, worth a few bob, is it, sir?
It's worth so much more than that, Corp. I've written a poem for you.
Oh, no. Another one of your dreary bloody poems.
I hope you like it. I'm afraid it doesn't rhyme or anything. I'm not terribly good at that bit. It's called The Sound of War, a poem for Corp. Bang, boom, smash, crash, wallop, rat-a-tat-tat.
No, right, that car back enough.
Corporal, where are you going? The big push hasn't started yet.
No, okay, Harbour.
Corp, hang on, man, I'm coming. Are you hit badly? Don't worry, Corp, I'm here. Yes, Corp? What is it, old friend?
Sod off, sir.
Well, that's almost it for another week, but before we go, Mike's backstage with Trevor from maintenance trying to get that door open so we can see how Freddie and Clarence are getting on. Now, are you there, Mike?
Yes, sir, and it looks like Trevor's managed to get the door open, and so let's go in and see.
Get back, I warned you!
Mike, are you still there?
Yes, Sue, I'm still here.
Well, thought I'd lost you.
No, not me.
So how are Freddie and Clarence?
Freddie's fine. He's very, very much still alive, but a little excited.
Well, it's been a very big day for him. And how's Clarence?
Not quite so very much still alive, Sue.
Mike, what's happening down there?
Freddie's handed me a piece of paper. Shall I read it?
Yes, what does it say?
I got a gun, and I want 50 grand and a... helicopter, or the smug gets it. I think he's threatening Trevor, Sue.
No, Mike, I think he's threatening you.
Then get a helicopter, quickly.
Oh, a helicopter? Well, it's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it?
Sue, please find a helicopter.
I tell you what, Mike, while we're thinking about it, we really have to do the credits.
Sue, helicopter!
Yes, credits first, Mike.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Sue.
And this has been Life, Death and Sex.
With Mike and Sue.
Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue was written by David Spicer and Hugh Rycroft from a format by Bill Dare. It starred Robert Duncan and Jan Ravens with Roger Blake, Alistair McGowan, Ronnie Ancona and Toby Longworth. Music was written by Mark Burton and the producer was Alan Evans.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Sue.
And this is Life, Death and Sex.
With Mike and Sue.
Hello, and welcome to the show that exposes the myths of life, death, and sex. We like to think this is one of the most popular shows on the radio.
Although, in fact, it's not.
No.
But our first topic today is stress.
Now, stress can lead perfectly
Mike,
to...
you're a racist bigot who's overweight and is wearing an appalling fawn cardigan.
What?
an example of a hysterical outburst, Mike. The sort of thing I might mistakenly say while under stress.
Oh, yes. Yeah, well, thanks for that example, Sue, because stress can lead us to say...
You're just so stubborn and self-important, Mike!
Another example of a stressful outburst, Sue.
No.
Right, now, stress can induce paranoia. You may have been unlucky enough to suffer from it.
Yes, figures show 1 in 2 people suffer from paranoia at some stage in their lives. So if you're not a sufferer, then it might well be that the person who's following you is.
Now, buried somewhere inside almost every one of us is a rejected lover.
And the stress of broken relationships can be found the world over.
Martin Forjones is on the line now, live from Samarkand, where history is being made in the first meeting between the heads of the state of Russia and the newly formed state of Uzbekistan. What's been the mood of the meeting, Martin?
Well, the Russian head of state began by welcoming everybody to the meeting, and then saying after the split of Russia and Uzbekistan, he wanted to make it clear to the world that it was Russia who chucked Uzbekistan. It was us who chucked you when we broke up, all right, he said. No, we cannot agree, came the reply. It was us who chucked you. No, it was definitely us who chucked you, the Russian repeated. No, we finished it, they replied. We finished it. We did. No, we did. And so it continued. And the meeting is still going on, with apparently Russia now accusing Uzbekistan of still having several boxes of its things. This is Martin Forjones in Samarkand telling you again needlessly where and who I am.
When stress and roads go together, we all know the cocktail can, if you'll excuse the pun, be really bad.
Yes, indeed. Road rage. Let's face it, we've all had some experience of it.
Sue, can I tell you a little story here? Yesterday, I was driving to do a voiceover for a training video about dangers in the office. That actually turned out to be all about the Health and Safety Act or something, when I kept telling them the biggest danger when working in an office is getting caught with the secretary in the stationery cupboard.
Yesterday was a particularly dangerous day for you, I understand, Mike.
Anyway, I was driving along, and I got cut up by a complete idiot on a roundabout. Now, I hold my hands up. I'm not the best driver in the world, but I'm up with the elite, and I got out of my Rover XJS in a rage. But I checked myself. I said, Mike, calm down. Everyone's human. Move away from a stressful encounter here. Let's go our separate ways as friends.
Well done, Mike. Well done.
Yes, we just got back in his police car and drove off as though nothing had happened.
Police car?
And it made me think, Sue, reducing stress is vital. So what a good financial idea it was for me to make that relaxation tape. And quite by chance, I've got a copy here.
Oh, no, Mike, no. I don't think this is the time.
No, part of the BBC's remit is to inform, Sue, and I'm informing the listeners that my relaxation tape is available at Tandy. It's a very useful deal over Rotary lunch a while back. And also, of course, direct from me at $12.99. Here's a taster.
Relax.
Hi, I'm Mike Meadows, and this is my relaxation tape. Now, I want you to relax. Relax. Imagine you are as successful as me. Suddenly, your pathetic, whiny troubles seem insignificant. You have fame, security, and a Rover XJS with leather seats. There's nothing to worry about. Relax. The CSA will never catch up with you. You're too damn smart for them. Relax. Relax. Now imagine standing next to me, Mike Meadows, and you're getting my autograph. You smile. We're together on a beach. The sand is golden, the sun beating down. I haven't got a wife. This ring means nothing. I'll throw it in the sea. Watch. Well, I'll just put it in my pocket. No, it's just the two of us. You feel so warm and relaxed. Relax. Relax. Relax.
Mike!
Look, I never pay for sex. I thought we agreed. Oh, I'm sorry. I must have dozed off. Well, for quite a bargain, I think. As I say, you can buy that from Tandy or direct from me. Cash would be useful. You can have that one, Sue, as a present.
Oh, no, I've got one.
Oh, really?
Yes, they were giving them away free at Tandy.
What?
Yes, they were in a bucket at the door with a sign saying free comedy tape.
Yeah, they would be. That's a clever sales ploy, that. It's very clever. It's good. Pleased to hear it.
You're listening to Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue.
And now our phone-in, which today is, surprise, surprise, about stress.
Now, we've all heard of road rage, but what about other sorts of rage?
Yes, Radio 4 rage, for example, which is brought on by not knowing what time any of the programmes are on anymore. Or rage, when people become mildly irritated with people who completely lose their temper.
And phone rage is a newly recognised phenomenon that is affecting callers who are being put on hold and then just abandoned.
Now, have you had a bad experience of phone rage? Give us a call here on Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue.
And we have our first caller, Mrs. E. Clark. Hello, Mrs. Clark.
Hello.
Hello, where are you calling from?
Greater Harbrook in Oxfordshire.
Oh, I know it well. Spent many years living there.
What's your experience of phone rage then, Mrs. Clark?
Well, yes. I rang up the Inland Revenue 2 weeks ago to complain to a Mr. Blakely about a ludicrous letter he'd sent, and they put me on hold.
Just hold it there, Mrs. Clark. Hold your horses. We're running a tad behind schedule, it seems, so what we're going to do is to leave this item and come back to you later for the rest of your story, if you don't mind waiting.
The terrible phenomenon of just being left on hold.
Yes. Now, sometimes stress may be caused if talented people aren't given the break they deserve.
Or maybe they're just not as good as they think they are, Mike.
Oh, no, they're very good. But their idea to present a program in which they take an Aston Martin around the vineyards of France called Let's Drink and Drive doesn't fit in with the new regime of boys in Hugo Boss suits, does it?
Who are you talking about, Mike?
Just talking generally. Here's an example of a maitre d' whose skill and talent has not been rewarded at the level he deserves.
A very fine choice, if I may say so, sir. Can I get you a drink at exactly the same time, sir? Coke. Oui. Dépêchez-vous, garçon. Vite, vite. I see Madame was able to bag thee a table near the window. I hope it is to your liking. Merci, garçon. Et voilà, monsieur. 2 Big Mac meals with large Cokes. Bon appétit.
Now, what can sport offer? Golf is ideal for stress.
Yes, no other sport creates stress like the pointless game golf.
Unless you've smashed up your putter in childish frustration by the 16th, you've not really been trying.
Surely it's time that TV realised that golf is not about taking part. It's about getting furious with yourself and taking it out on your opponent, who must have been cheating anyway.
Here's Doogie Donnelly.
Well, here we are now at the Royal Lytham St Anne's car park, and here comes a player out of the clubhouse in an absolute race. Look at this. Oh, my goodness me. He's holding a club. Looks like a 2-iron from here. And he moves nicely now towards his opponent's BMW. Here he comes. Come on now. Is he going to... Yes! Good swing there. Good contact. And he smashed the rear window entirely. Well, super stuff there. Now, that puts him one up on his opponent, of course. And here comes his opponent now, red-faced and sweating, holding a fairly well-lofted club by the looks of it there. Perhaps a 5 or a 6 iron, I would say. And yes, he slotted it. Well done. Driver's window is gone on his opponent's car there. Now, what's he going to do? Well, this is interesting. He takes the handbrake off now, and there goes the Range Rover, trickling off away down the hill there, gathering speed, and... Well, dearie me. Dearie me. Well, I hope you'll join us later when we watch Mark O'Meara and Tiger Woods slogging it out in the wonderful setting of Tesco's car park.
You're listening to Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue.
Now, we were going to have a word with Julie, one of our PAs here, about the stress of working behind the scenes, but I can't find her.
Sue, sometimes it happens that the people who work for us, although we love them dearly, get so stressed we have to sack them. Sometimes they rant and rave like you wouldn't believe, and we have to get them some distance away from all of us. And that happened to Julie. But I said, well, in 9 months' time, who knows, she could perhaps come back again.
9 months?
Yes, we may feel we've lost a close friend, but in life, Sue, it's important not to dwell on sadness, but to go forwards. And already I can feel I can treat her replacement, Giselle, like a member of my own family.
Ah, and which member of the family would that be? A little sister? An aunt? Or a wife, perhaps?
Yeah, I suppose a sort of sisterly sort of mother who... Well, that's not right. I don't know, Sue. It's just a figure of speech. Now it's time for our big debate in front of our invited audience.
Yes, today we're going to discuss an issue that's bound to touch a few nerves and raise a few hackles amongst our invited audience. But already we're running out of time.
Yes, we're running out of time before we've even started. But today we're asking the question, should it be stopped? Someone over here.
Could I say something, please? I am a community leader.
Okay, we're running out of time, but what community do you lead?
The homosexual community.
Just a minute. You were here last week speaking up for the Bengali community.
Yes, and I'm freelance, you know. Next week I'm going to be leading the community of Jewish footballers against circumcision, if that's all right with you.
Can I say something here? I've listened to the debate so far, and what about a bit of common sense and reasoned argument?
Excuse me. Oh! You won't be troubling us again. And Elaine Fitzgerald, you write for The Guardian?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And now, Superintendent Harsh, what does the bobby on the street think?
Well, obviously, you know, we approach the situation as sensitively as possible. We are very sensitive. Minorities, sensitive. Minorities, sensitive. Very sensitive, gentle, caring, soft mother care. All cuddly and warm next to your skin. Little children playing. Being wrapped in a warm towel. The smell of baby powder on your mother's milk. Bedtime stories. Cuddles in bed. Police brutality. Sorry.
Yes, right, now we turn to our expert, Regis Professor of this and that. Stopped or not stopped, in your view?
If it was stopped, our projection shows that a lot of things would increase.
How many things?
Well, according to the latest computer projection, quite a lot.
The computer figure was quite a lot.
Yes, and it said some things would decrease by a smidgen. So you have to balance a lot of things increasing quite a lot with some things decreasing by a smidgen. But of course, that is an optimistic estimate.
Now, you said it was a computer projection. How can it be optimistic?
Computers have their up days.
In next week's big debate, we ask, are drugs...
Excuse me.
Oh, you again.
I just wanted to say, instead of all this fighting and passing the blame, why don't we get round the negotiating table and all try to find a constructive solution?
Oh! That should do it. Now, time for our phone-in.
Yes, our phone-in. Today about phone rage, the stress caused by being abandoned on hold.
And hopefully on the line is Mrs. Clark from Greater Harbrook. I used to live in the old mill there, Mrs. Clark. Great memories of the place.
Oh, yes, well, the old mill. You're going to be terribly sorry to hear about that, because it burned down one night.
Oh, yes. Oh, dear. Yeah, how sad. Yeah, anyway.
And people, would you believe people say the man who owned it burnt it down for the insurance money? Terrible. How many years ago were you there?
Oh, this was what's the story about being left on hold, Mrs.
And people had actually said that the guy involved used to work in TV or something, but they'd never heard of him. What did he do again? Actually, it wasn't TV. No, I think it was radio.
Right. Just hold it there, Mrs. Clark. The producer's telling me to crack on, so we'll get your story a little later.
The terrible phenomenon of just being left on hold. Now on with our second topic, honesty. Now, I understand you have a strong opinion on this, Mike.
No, you see, Sue, I am a firm believer in honesty. For me, honesty is the best policy.
Really, Mike?
Oh, yeah. When I was just a lad, I took an exam. When I got the results back, I found I'd failed it. So I went back again the next year, and I took that exam all over again. And you know, I failed it again. So I went back the next year, and I took it again, and I failed it again. And then I paid a lot of money to a man I know, and that did the trick straight away. You see what I'm saying, Sue?
No, Mike, not really.
I was honest with myself. I was never going to pass that exam, you see. No, I faced the fact. Now, that was honesty. That took courage on my part. Yes, honesty is the best policy, without a doubt.
Yes, honesty. And nowhere is honesty more important than in marriage. Couples more and more are writing their own vows in the name of being more honest.
He's after me. I, bloke who got you pregnant.
I, bloke who got you pregnant.
Take you, bird I met at a nightclub.
Take you, bird I met in the nightclub.
To shag and to shag.
To shag and to shag.
Until I get bored and run off with the woman at work.
Until I get bored and run off with the woman at work.
Well done, well done. Right. Now the bride. Ready? I, bird in a nightclub.
I, bird in a nightclub.
To take you, bloke who got me pregnant.
Do take you, bloke who got me pregnant.
Until you start shouting that I trapped you.
Until you start shouting that I trapped you.
And I run off in tears to stay at my mother's.
And I run off in tears to stay at my mother's.
And then keep going back to you despite all my girlfriends telling me not to.
And then keep going
back to you.
Back to you despite all my girlfriends telling me not to.
Well, okay. Will the congregation please rise and say with me the words on the sheet?
All of us know full well it will never last.
What on earth are we all doing in the church
of all places?
I
hope the food at the reception is good, and not like at the last wedding where we just had ham sandwiches. Amen.
Now, if we're honest with ourselves, we all occasionally make... what's it say? Fox pass?
Faux pas, Mike. It's pronounced faux pas. It's French.
Really? Oh, yes, French. Oh, yes, faux pas. It didn't copy very well in my script. No, actually, I'm a bit of a faux pas expert, Sue.
Yes, Mike, I rather think you are. Well, businesses, it would seem, are trying to avoid making faux pas, and to this end, some of them are becoming more open and honest.
Yes, indeed. Train companies, for one, are falling over themselves in the name of honesty to tell you the exact reason your train is late.
This is Gavin, your senior conductor speaking. Welcome to the 1305 intercity service to Liverpool Street. Due to a staff shortage on this service today, Colin from the catering car is driving the train. We will be stopping at Ipswich. Perhaps. See how it goes. Thank you.
Well, now back to our phone-in. Today on the subject of phone rage. The stress caused by being abandoned on hold. Hello, Mrs. Clark. Now, what's your story of phone rage?
Hello, Mike. Now, you know you said you lived in our village. Well, do you remember Mrs. Morgan in the post?
Look, I think we've talked enough about me living in your village, Mrs. Clark.
She says that your voice reminds her very much of a man who was always after her 16-year-old daughter. Isn't that cool?
Oh, dear, look, we haven't got time for your story after all, Mrs. Clark. Goodbye. The stress of being abandoned on hold.
Yes, indeed. And now we move on to honesty and relationships. Some men think the only way to chat up a woman is to agree with everything she says.
Absolutely. I agree. Not that I'm trying to chat you up, Sue. You're obviously far too old.
What?
I just love Marvin Gaye.
Yes, what's extraordinary, because I love Marvin Gaye too.
Yeah, really? I've got this dream of dancing to Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing, at midnight on a beach in Goa or something.
No, that is extraordinary, because I've had the same dream exactly, right? Last summer I danced to Shawaddy Waddy on a beach in Yarmouth, so I feel I'm getting there slowly. Hey, do you want a drink?
Yeah, that's real kind. I'll have a Bloody Mary, thank you.
That is extraordinary. That is my favourite drink as well. God, we've got so much in common,
God, I'm getting terrible stomach cramps.
Yeah?
Well, I think my period's coming on.
That is amazing because I think that it is it really is it's my job to get those drinks. Here's your drink, well, there you go.
You know that my father is a Central American dictator. I mean, I just like to tell people, so it doesn't seem like I'm hiding it. Get it out of the way.
Well, that really is extraordinary because my father's a dictator in Central America as well.
I was joking.
That's amazing because I was joking too.
Look, why are you pretending to have things in common with me?
And that is amazing because I was thinking the same thing. Why am I pretending to have things in common with you? It's crazy, isn't it? Hey, do you want another drink?
No way. Listen, I think you're an idiot.
I think I'm an idiot too. I do. We've got so much in common, though, haven't we? Hey, will you speak with me?
And now it's time for our book of the week, which this week is a cookery book.
Yes, this new book out on cookery is as honest as the day is long. There's a lasagna recipe in it called This Is Not Quite What I Expected.
Yes, and a stir-fry recipe called The Fat's Too Hot and the Smoke Alarm's Gone Off. And a cake at the end called Oh, Well, It'll Make a Good Frisbee.
Yeah. Where is the book? Giselle, thanks. Very competent.
You're very welcome, Michael.
And if you're wondering at home, that voice was Giselle.
Julie's replacement.
Yes, now, I think...
Sometimes things look so nice on the outside, boys just want to have them.
Absolutely, Sue.
Now, honesty and people. If we're honest, do looks matter when hiring staff?
Well, clearly looks should have nothing to do with hiring staff. For example, they certainly didn't when I hired Giselle. It was so dark in that nightclub, I could hardly see her face.
Nightclub?
People should never hire a person on the hope of a sordid relationship in the Whitemore Hotel just off the North Circular. Good car parking there, though. Always plenty of spaces.
What? Sorry, you hired her in a nightclub?
Just being honest, Sue, which is our subject. Now, if you're walking past a lorry which is going backwards, you might well hear something like this.
Warning, vehicle reversing.
When perhaps it should be saying...
Warning, driver thinks he's Michael Schumacher.
And if you're in a post office waiting in the queue, you may hear a similar voice saying...
Cashier number 4.
But a trip to the post office should, if we're honest, be more like this.
Come on, only want a stamp.
Cashier number 4.
Oh, at last.
Is chatting to cashier number 3 about holiday.
Oh, come on.
Cashier number 1.
Oh, here we go.
Is going to lunch. Cashier number 5. Is here on a government training scheme. Bad luck.
First class stamp, please.
A stamp? Yeah. What's that then?
You're listening to Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue.
Right, now, to end the show, as our subject is honesty, when we were talking over ideas at the wine bar for the programme a couple of days ago, both Mike and I thought it would be fun to reveal one secret live on air.
Yes, that's right, we did. I'd forgotten.
So there and then, we both wrote down a secret and sealed it in an envelope, and I've got the two envelopes right here.
We had a few Chiantis that night, and this is rather exciting for me as well, because I've completely forgotten what I wrote in mine.
Okay, Mike, come on, you open mine first.
Right, okay. Sue was written when I was a teenager. What, a couple of years ago, Sue?
Oh, Mike, don't be silly.
Yeah. All right, I'm just joking. Now, when I was a teenager, 18 years, 7 months ago, by my calculations, Sue, when I was a teenager, I was so in need of money, I agreed to appear in a soft porn film called Bouncy Bouncy Yum Yum.
Yes, I did, and I don't actually remember writing the title. How funny.
Well, I've another secret, Sue. You didn't. I'm a great fan of that piece of work. In fact, between a group of us working here, we've worn that tape thin, and it would be lost forever if someone hadn't the foresight to put clips of it on the internet.
Right, so let's see, what's your secret, Mike?
Well, that Chianti was so good, all I can remember thinking that it was a terrific piece of honesty.
Oh, well, let's see.
What is it? Not about me buying 50 copies of the big issue from one salesman, is it? No, I meant to keep that generous act a secret. Huh? Yeah, well, come on, what is it, Sue? Well, you can tell the world.
Can I?
Oh, yes.
Okay, well, Mike's secret is, I made Julie pregnant and I'm really, really sorry. I should have been a gentleman and offered to give her the 150 quid for an abortion.
Oh.
So, that seems to wrap it up nicely for this week.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Sue.
And this has been Life, Death and Sex.
With Mike and Sue.
Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue was written by Tim de Jong from a format by Bill Dare. It starred Robert Duncan and Jan Ravens with Roger Blake, Alistair McGowan, Ronnie Ancona and Tim de Jong. Music was by Mark Burton and the producer was Alan Evans.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Sue.
And this is Life, Death and Sex.
With Mike and Sue.
Hello. Welcome to Life, Death and Sex, the show that tackles the fundamental issues of human existence.
But not in a way that's all depressing and complicated.
That's right, Sue. Upbeat as our watchword. Now then, do you spell the word Christmas with an X and put your decorations up in November?
Do you own several large dogs?
Do you often eat takeaway food on public transport?
If so, then you've no business listening to this, and you should retune at once to talk radio.
Tonight we hit back at accusations that broadcasting has lowered its standards, along with a general dumbing down of the media.
We'll hear a special report on the Northern Ireland peace process from Pingu the Penguin.
And coming up later in our regular lifestyle slot,
we investigate the 3 great lies of the middle classes.
We've stopped eating meat, we never have time to watch TV, and if we leave early, it only takes an hour and a half to drive to the cottage.
Well, I think we'd all have to plead guilty to those, Mike.
Yes, although I did it in 1 hour 27 dead on Saturday morning, including a stop for petrol.
Really?
Dumped our stuff at the cottage, headed off down to the marina, and we're on the water by 11:30.
Oh, I thought she'd made you get rid of the speedboat.
No. We both very keen on Swordfish class offshore powerboat racing.
Ah, well, our first topic tonight is one you certainly know a thing or two about, Mike. Marriage. What is it that makes a successful relationship?
Is it just a matter of sex and money, or is it about more old-fashioned virtues like compatibility, teamwork, and fidelity? Thanks, Sue. Always have trouble with that one. So, what is the key to a happy marriage?
Well, I don't know about you, Mike, but we found buying the Arga made an enormous difference.
The Arga, really?
Yes, an Arga really brings a family together, really fills the home with a lovely old-fashioned country warmth.
But of course, these days, not everybody has space in their country cottage for an Arga.
No, and not everyone's got a speedboat.
Exactly. Consequently, more and more marriages are breaking down.
Yes, indeed. The Marriage Guidance Organisation Relate has been looking at ways of getting couples to air their problems more openly. They've developed a new mobile counselling unit which guarantees fast results. It's called a car, and the treatment takes place on the M25 at 5:30 on Friday afternoons.
What do you mean, would you like a mint?
I mean, would you like a bloody mint?
You said it as though it was up to me to offer you a mint.
It's not unreasonable to expect a mint in view of the fact that I'm doing the driving. Plus, I've been working my butt off all sodding week.
Oh, and all I do is run the house and look after the children. That doesn't deserve a mint, of course. I can bloody whistle for a mint.
Okay, forget the mint.
Oh, no, there you are.
I said I don't want a mint.
Mind where you're going.
Okay, now, look, it seems to me this mint represents something very important to both of you. Roger here feels it should be offered. Joanna thinks it should be asked for. And I'm wondering here if this mint isn't a symbol of female sexuality. Of Joanna's sexuality. And the fact that the mint has a hole in it would obviously tend to support that. Inside lane here.
Alternatively, it might be symbolic of a little round minty thing you have in the car.
You said you'd give this a chance.
Oh, look, now we've missed that turning for Hornchurch. For God's sake, woman, why didn't you warn me it was coming?
I didn't know we were supposed to come up at Hornchurch.
And that's indicative of your tendency to reject Roger's sexual advances. And I find myself wondering, Joanna, if this isn't a strategy to keep us on the motorway until the turn-off for, say, Limpsfield, which you would clearly find a great deal less threatening.
Just watch your tongue, chummy.
Now, this anger of yours is very positive, Roger, but I really think you need to get over to the left here or miss the next exit as well.
Oi, don't tell him how to drive.
He's waving you in, look.
Jesus, there's room for 3 cars there. Are you blind as well as emotionally retarded?
You know, I should try and get some help if I were you.
Following the successful court action by cigarette smokers against the tobacco companies, a Birmingham man is to sue a local furniture store for £2.5 million. He claims that, as a direct result of sitting on one of their sofas for 25 years doing absolutely bugger all, he's now virtually destitute.
Our first studio guests are also victims of big multinationals. Ted and Sylvia Bailey, you're suing the Church of England for the harmful effects of 40 years of non-stop marriage.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we are.
And what is your complaint exactly?
Well, we've been conned. It's as simple as that.
It's right, because we were never told nothing about the risk, were we?
42 years we've been married, and I've never been able to have the kind of car I want.
42 years I've been picking his toenail clippings off the bathroom floor. My life's a living hell.
Living hell. Living hell. If I hadn't had me fags and the job at the asbestos factory, I'd have gone out of my mind by now.
And you blame the Church of England for that, do you?
Yes, and Moss Bros. Because these big businesses have been exploiting ordinary people for long enough.
Didn't it occur to you to get a divorce?
That's what everyone says. But once you start being married to someone, before you know it, you can't stop.
No, can't give him up.
Well, this is a
Can't
good moment to bring in Canon Quentin Fairbrother, spokesman for the Church of England. Canon Fairbrother, living hell, can't give it up. This is a potentially disastrous situation for you, isn't it?
Well, obviously the Church deeply regrets any isolated cases of individual hardship, but I do think you have to place them in the context of an overwhelmingly successful 2,000-year campaign to perpetuate the human race.
So you don't think you owe these people anything?
Well, you know, the fact is that all our wedding services carry very, very clear warnings about the possible risks of sickness and poverty.
So you're admitting that marriage is potentially dangerous?
No, I'm not saying that, Mike, as you very well know. No, what I am saying is, well, look, I think the key word here is choice. People have a choice to remain unmarried or
to subject themselves to terminal aging, persistent grandchildren, and goodness knows what else.
No, I'm sorry, but there's really very little hard scientific evidence to connect marriage with getting older and feeling you've missed out on life. The facts simply don't support it.
But isn't it just a bit of a coincidence that couples who married in the 1930s and 40s are now dying in huge numbers? While the vast majority of people in their 20s who've decided not to get married are perfectly fit and healthy.
Well, I don't know where you got those figures from, Sue, but I think it's too early to tell.
But doesn't it strike you as odd that those who actively promote marriage and family life, Catholic priests, for example, are themselves celibate?
Yeah, answer that one, you smarmy git.
Well, I'm sorry, but if you're just going to resort to vulgar abuse, I really don't...
Answer the question.
Well, I'm perfectly prepared to answer the question if you're...
Okay, simmer down, please.
It's simply not true to say that all Catholic priests are celibate. Many have long-term homosexual relationships, and places like Ireland and South America are obviously absolutely littered with illegitimate offspring of priests. So, you know, I think you media people really should get your facts straight before making these wild allegations.
Well, can I ask you then, Canon Fairbrother, you're not married yourself, are you?
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's completely beside the point.
And you're not a homosexual either, are you?
I refuse to answer questions like that.
Sue, perhaps we should...
Not to put too fine a point on it, Canon Fairbrother, you are in truth a raving celibate, preying on the sexual weaknesses of ordinary men and women.
Right, well, that's it. I've had enough. You're an absolute disgrace.
Well, we seem to have lost Canon Fairbrother.
I'm sorry, Mike, but, you know, sickos like that really get me.
It's a very understandable reaction, Sue. I'm sure anyone experiencing marital difficulties would share your pain.
Okay, so moving on then.
You're coping brilliantly, by the way.
Thank you.
Especially with her being so much younger and more successful. Right, let's take a listener's call. This one's from Paul in Dorset, my neck of the woods. Tim, what have you got to say on the subject of marriage?
Actually, I'm ringing about the speedboat for sale, yeah?
Right,
It's on the notice board at the marina. It says 700 horsepower of raw wave-busting thrust, yeah?
If you leave your number with Dave at reception.
Joy Clamp Chick forces sale.
Okay, Tim, must move on now. We're trying to deal with the subject of marriage here, and,
and compatibility.
I just wanted to see if I could get any offers, all right.
Mike, you've had more successful marriages than most of us. Does it get any easier, do you think?
Well, marriage is hard enough the first time round, Sue, as you've just discovered to your painful cost.
Yes, indeed. But the failure rate of marriages has been rising so sharply in recent years that it's now begun to cause grave concern in government circles.
While we've been on the air, we've learned that the health minister is considering imposing a ban on all marriage advertising. TV programs which actively encourage young people to marry could be taken off the air.
Yes, and a government spokesman said that blind date's exemption from the ban was in no way influenced by Cilla Black's surprise donation of £1 million to Labour Party funds.
Now, we've been talking about the risks of marriage to both partners, but probably no one has as much to fear from a wedding ceremony than the bridegroom's best friend.
Get in the car now.
What's going on?
Shut it, Colin, in the car.
How do you know my name? Who are you?
Let's just say we're friends of Jeff Parsons, right?
But he's my oldest mate. He wouldn't... Oh, no. Oh, no, you don't mean...
Yeah, you got it, pal. Jeff wants you to be his best man.
Oh, God, no, please, you can't make me do it. I refuse.
Nobody refuses to be his mate's best man, Colin. That's very rude.
But I can't. I'd have to make a speech in front of hundreds of people. I wouldn't know what to say.
Oh, well, then we must have been misinformed, Colin, because we were told that you got a fund of hilarious anecdotes about when you and Jeff was at college together.
No, I haven't, honestly.
What about the time when Jeff tried to make dinner out of custard powder and a tin of sardines?
That's not funny.
And when Jeff got so drunk he ended up in a supermarket trolley with his pants on his head?
I can't tell them that.
Oh, yeah, look, there's a bit of friction between Jeff's mum and Lorraine's family over the seating plan for the reception, so you'll have to sort that one out.
Aye, and dance with his Auntie Maureen.
You know, the one who stinks of cats.
Oh, God, no, please, I beg you.
The stag night shouldn't be a problem either, as long as you order the false breasts and paint gun cartridges and plenty of time.
You can't make me do this, it's barbaric.
Oh, and Colin, you won't forget to book the stripper, will you?
Best man duties, Sue, they can seem endless, and I know because it's something I'm constantly asked to do.
Well, Mike, you do play golf with Will Carling.
Yes.
You're listening to Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue.
And we're talking about marriage.
You know, the funny thing is that after so many years of feminism, British women still do most of the domestic chores. That makes me sick. There are thousands of illegal Polish immigrants who would be glad of the work.
Well, centuries of sexism in the home could be about to end. A new television series looks like turning housework into the new rock and roll. Starting tonight on BBC One, Jeremy Clarkson's Extreme Cleaning Machine.
This isn't a vacuum cleaner. It's 1.1 kilowatts of pure, stripped-out, face-bending suction power. Yes, you'll be round the lounge and up the stairs to the landing in just half a morning. With 2 plastic wheels and a small matter of 170 litres under the lid, this is a wheelie bin with serious off-road capabilities. Oh, extreme. I'm looking at, quite simply, the most feared washing up challenge on the planet. A dirty grill pan. And I'm feeling extraordinarily relaxed about it because of this bit of kit from Germany. The standard spec will set you back a cool £1.25. But then this is no ordinary washing up mitten. It's got a highly absorbent sponge backing and a seriously good-looking tartan loop to hang it up by. Deutschland, as they say, über alles.
It can take years before 2 people become really compatible. From a woman's point of view, the first step on the way is obviously to get a husband. But for women in their mid-30s, this is proving increasingly difficult.
It's even harder when they're in their mid-40s.
Now, you're an expert on matchmaking for the over-30s, and you're also a director of a new dating agency called Blind Panic.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right, Sue, I am.
So, what if I come to you? I'm 35. I've got a successful career, and I'm looking for a sensitive, high-achieving partner who respects me and wants to start a family.
I'd say you haven't got a prayer, darling. I mean, basically, all the men who are any good were snapped up ages ago.
So, Lavinia, what would your professional advice be?
Well, instead of going for wealth or good looks, you might like to consider an option that more and more 30-something women are having to settle for these days.
And what's that?
A man with a straggly beard.
A man with a straggly beard? What, like the one you've brought along with you today?
Yes, that's right.
Hello.
We've got a very wide range of men with straggly beards on our books. Some come with Velcro fastening shoes, some with an interest in canals, and some, like this one, with a tendency to work for the social services and wear luminous green cycling belts.
And they all have
straggly
All
beards.
got straggly beards.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
But if I didn't actually, sure there's nothing wrong with this one, but if I'd set my heart on getting one, say, without a straggly beard.
Might as well give up, darling. That's all there is.
Well, just give up.
Give up, stay in bed, stuff your face with cheesecake.
Thank you, Lavinia, for that. A host of handy, hubby hunting hints to mull over there.
Is that it?
Yes, thank you both very much. Thank you.
Can I have a look at the control room now?
No! Well, that just about wraps up the subject of marriage.
Now, over the last couple of weeks, we've had some complaints that life, death and sex has been dumbed down.
We've been dodging the big issues, or indeed trivializing them.
Not so, and we'll prove it.
This week, Mike and Sue go for the granddaddy of big issues and ask what is the meaning of life.
And we're devoting the whole of the next 2 minutes to finding an answer. Professor, the scientist's view. How did it all begin?
Well, hello, Mike. Hello, Sue.
Quick as you can, please, Professor.
Yes, well, most scientists don't see the universe as having a beginning as such because there was no time, just a boundless...
If you could get to the point.
Yes, well, time is boundless, therefore, like an elastic band, it has no beginning
Right, so basically the universe is big and it's old. Now, what about sex? When did that start?
Well, I suppose when life began.
And what about clothes shops?
Well, I really wouldn't know. I thought I was here to discuss cosmology.
Yes, all right. No need to get flash.
We've got a letter here from someone asking about kittens. Do you think kittens like little Blackie here started before or after the shops?
Well, I'm not a natural historian.
Well, you may not be a natural, but you studied it, didn't you?
No, I'm an astronomer. I specialize in the Big Bang.
But how does it affect a busy mum at home?
What?
If you were thinking of redecorating your kitchen, say, when the Big Bang was happening, it wouldn't have been all that easy, would it?
No.
Okay. Bishop of Tenby. God. Now, you're obviously a big fan. How well do you know him?
Oh, that's a very hard question. One is so full of awe.
Because God is an infinitely, mega famous celebrity whose book is still #1 on the bestseller list.
And even though God's been around a long, long time, he's best remembered for having created the universe.
Which no one has done before, right?
Right, yeah, he was first, yeah.
And what's he like to work with?
Got any funny stories?
I serve God, you see. I don't actually work with him.
Oh, suit yourself. Now, time's running out. But between the two of you, marks out of 10. The universe. Professor.
Well, on the whole, I think it's pretty good. I'd give it, an even 8.
Bishop?
Well, I think God's done a fab job. I give the universe a terrific 10 out of 10, mate.
So you wouldn't change it in any way?
No, I keep the universe as it is.
Not even if we paid for a top designer to give it a full makeover?
No way, no.
And would you swap this universe for 2 large, cheaper ones?
No, I think I'll stick with my regular cosmos.
Well, coming up next is health, but now it's time for sport. Mike.
Thank you, sir. The sports minister is concerned that not enough young people are developing an interest in our national summer game. There's no need to feel ashamed of not understanding the finer points of cricket. After all, neither do many of the England test team. So, for the benefit of those inner-city kids and anyone with sports learning difficulties, all cricket broadcasts will now come with a simultaneous translation.
Well, it's a glorious afternoon here, and I must say the ground's looking an absolute picture.
I can't see any women, poor people, squeegee merchants, or layabouts selling the big issue.
Couldn't agree more. It's the finest city in the world, is this?
Just 20,000 corporate hospitality clients who couldn't give a stuff about the game.
It's such a shame, you see, that once again we're seeing a very, very poor England performance indeed.
I'm thoroughly enjoying this.
And I'm sorry to say...
I'm delighted to say...
there's no sign of any improvement.
That they'll never be as good as me.
Well, it's a very tense situation for England. They've got... Oh, dear, I'm afraid we've got a streaker on the field. This really is so frustrating for everybody.
I wish I had the courage to run naked across the grass like him. Just pull off this bow tie and blazer and feel the breeze caressing my bare body.
I mean, that is the most stupid, unnecessary behaviour I've ever seen at a cricket ground.
Actually, that streak is really rather cute.
Well, I quite agree. There's absolutely no excuse for this sort of thing.
He's sort of sweet and sad in a David Beckham kind of way.
And I'm sorry, there's only one way to deal with someone like that.
Smother his tummy with ice cream and then slowly, oh, so slowly lick it off again.
Well, I'm pleased to say that he's now being apprehended by 2 burly officers of the law.
And to think I could have joined the police force once.
We'll be back with the rest of the afternoon's play right after the shipping forecast.
We're off to the Turkish bath now. If you want to know what the score is, I suggest you buy the Daily Telegraph tomorrow morning.
And it's time now for our second topic, health.
You're listening to Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue.
With an ageing population and further NHS cuts, there are currently fears that we might be about to re-enter the dark ages of healthcare.
If the government is determined to halt the decline by increasing the number of health service media relations advisors and changing the name from NHS to Mr. Get Well. So it sounds like.
Thank you for dialing 999. If you would like to book an ambulance, please press 1. Our operators are busy right now. Your call will be answered as soon as possible.
Oh, God, no. Help!
Mr. Getwell, it's Dean speaking. How may I help you?
I want an ambulance.
Okay, no problem. Can I ask you how you heard about Mr. Getwell Ambulance Services? Newspaper, TV advert, or friend's recommendation?
I think I'm having a heart attack.
Okay, no problem. Would you like to go on our mailing list?
No! I need immediate medical attention.
Okay, no problem. Now, are there any other members of your family close to death? Because we do have a 10% family and friends reduction.
I'm having a heart attack on my own at home.
Okay, no problem. Now, is the building on fire at all? Because you might be interested in our platinum cover in association with Mr. Put It Out Fire Services, PLC UK.
No, I just
want the ambulance. Okay, no problem. But if you do decide to die before we get to you, there will be a call-out charge payable, okay?
How much?
£250. You take care now.
A new report published today claims that the number of reports of new reports being published, when there's not much else to report, is reportedly on the increase. The figure is reported to be well up on the figure previously reported in the previous report. But does anyone actually read these reports? Our reporter, Rick Porter, thought he ought to.
At 648 pages, this health report looks set to fill hundreds of hours of news programmes. It's good news for reporters, but how will it affect the ordinary man in the street? Well, I've come to a street in the Isle of Man because I like making puns and to see how much licence payers' money it's possible to spend on an item like this. I'm joined by local sheep farmer, Dave Smalls. Dave.
Yes?
As a ruggedly independent Manxman, what's your reaction to this report and also to my annoying way of speaking?
A deafening report there, ending that report from our reporter, Rick Porter.
Now, the government is encouraging us to take more responsibility for our own healthcare, and I'm joined now by women's health expert Hazel Snood. Hello, Hazel.
Hello, Sue.
Now, Hazel, you've come up with a revolutionary new 28-day health plan for women, which almost unbelievably involves no running, exercising or dieting.
That's right, and you can smoke and drink as much as you like.
Sounds too good to be true. So how does it work?
Well, Sue, it's based on sulking.
Sulking?
Yes, sulking. Also, hiding behind your hair, answering in monosyllables, and feeling cold in restaurants.
Right. And how does behaving like a complete misery guts improve your health exactly?
Well, it's a holistic approach, Sue. We believe that physical and spiritual well-being can only come by practicing the art of passive aggression.
Hazel, just to play devil's advocate for a moment, it's rather an old-fashioned view.
Oh, very much so, Sue, yes. It's time for women everywhere to throw off the bonds of feminism, to start being difficult, fainting, bursting into tears without warning, just like in the 19th century.
Well, sounds good to me. I think you might be onto something. So how does this 28-day plan work?
Well, Mike, we'd start you off by going for a walk in the wrong shoes. So then you have to be driven or carried everywhere for the next month. Then we steadily build up your periods of sullen silence until at the end of the course we send you on a romantic weekend for two.
Oh, what happens there?
Oh, you develop a mystery allergy, complain about the food, and you can't sleep because there's a funny humming noise coming from somewhere.
Hazel, isn't it a bit difficult to find anyone who'll put up with that kind of behaviour?
It can be a problem, yes, Sue.
And presumably that's why you've got a man with a straggly beard in tow.
No, he's nothing to do with me, no.
No, I'm from the agency. I got a call to meet someone called, hang on, I get it written down here in my pocket. No, it must be in one of my other pockets.
Well, if you would just like to wait in hospitality until the end of the show, so Hazel, this health plan basically just turns you into a miserable cow.
That's right, Sue. Yes, it does. And what we're saying, Sue, is join the fair pushy posse and wipe the smile off their silly, silly faces for good.
Sue? That's it? Anyone know where I can find Sue?
Oh, right there, mate, just underneath the big sign saying desperate.
Well, it looks like the clock's beaten us again.
Oh, no, we've got plenty of time.
Thank you, Hazel. We've just got time to read out the email.
Oh, good idea, Sue. This one is from the Blind Panic Dating Agency. Dear Sue, sending man with straggly beard immediately as requested.
And there are actually some faxes here, too.
He's called Martin, and his hobbies include Morris dancing, badminton...
That's right, and traction engines.
There's actually a fax here from your wife, Mike. I'm moving in with Adrian from my pottery class. I've taken the Jeep, and if you want to know where the speed belt
Yes, well, a bulging postbag yet again today.
Try looking in the bottom of the marina.
So do keep those messages coming. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sue.
And this has been Life, Death and Sex.
With Mike and Sue.
Life, Death and Sex with Mike and Sue was written by Christopher Douglas from a format by Bill Dare. It starred Robert Duncan and Jan Ravens with Roger Blake, Alistair McGowan, Ronnie Ancona and Christopher Douglas. Music was by Mark Burton and the producer was Ali Devons.